Chapter 46. Catherine's POV. I was woken up by the alarm clock the next morning. Hedwig was sleeping soundly next to me, so I quietly got out of bed. While washing up in the bathroom, I stared at myself in the mirror. The memory of Blake's kiss last night came back to me. I brushed my teeth harder. How disgusting that jerk's kiss was. After I freshened myself up, I held Hedwig's hand and led her downstairs despite her sleepiness. Noah was sitting in front of the dining table with Blake. He wore a noble suit tailored for children. Blake combed Noah's short hair back. At this moment, the father and the son share the same hairstyle and clothes. They were similar from head to toe. Even their sitting gesture carried the same air of fierceness and dominance. I was stunned. What was the man thinking? How did he turn my cute son into a mature look like his? "Right, Mommy, I want to sleep for a while more. Please, let me go upstairs. I promise. Just a while longer." Hedwig was a little sleepyhead. She begged me in a sweet voice. "Hedwig, you see, your brother is up. You must go to school with him. Be good." I solemnly refused Hedwig. I couldn't allow her to be sluggish. Blake's dark eyes swept over us. He quickly got up, walked to Hedwig, and squatted in front of her. "Hedwig, what's wrong? You look like you haven't woken up yet. Did you fail to sleep well without Daddy last night?" "Daddy, I want to sleep for a while more. Mommy won't let me." Hedwig immediately felt wronged, and her eyes turned red. "Come to Daddy. I'll hold you while you're having breakfast, okay?" Blake asked gently. "Daddy, you're so nice. I love Daddy." Hedwig immediately opened her little hands, about to pounce into Blake's arms. However, I mercilessly pulled her back. I looked at Blake and said seriously, "Can you stop satisfying Hedwig's every request? You will make her a spoiled kid in this way. If she gets used to it, it will be more troublesome to discipline her." "What's wrong with me holding her? Hedwig is still a little kid, so you can't expect her to obey rules like an adult," Blake retorted. I felt that Blake would spoil Hedwig sooner or later if he kept treating her like this. Noah slowly walked over and said, "Daddy, Mommy, the dishes are getting cold." Then Noah grabbed Hedwig's little hand and said, "Come here. I will eat with you. Don't annoy Mommy, okay?" "Noah, you're the best." Hedwig immediately smiled like a little fool and followed Noah to the dining table. I had to receive clients today, so I didn't want to ruin my mood by arguing with Blake. I sat at the dining table and started eating. As I ate breakfast, I glanced at Noah's new hairstyle. Finally, I couldn't help but reach out to poke Noah's head. "Mommy, why did you mess up my hair? It wasn't easy for me to comb my hair back like Daddy." Noah's face looked gloomy. I curled my lips and said, "Who told you to learn that from your daddy? Do you know that you look too mature with this hairstyle?" "Mommy, I like Daddy's hairstyle. He looks perfectly groomed." Hedwig propped her chin up and expressed her thoughts. "Hedwig got it. Good girl, hurry up and eat. Daddy will give you a big surprise after breakfast." Blake reached out and touched Hedwig's head. "What's it? Can you tell me now? I really want to know," Hedwig excitedly asked as her eyes sparkled. "Guess it," Blake relied. Hedwig's mouth immediately opened wide. "I know it. Is it my pony? Daddy, am I right? Hurry up and take me to see it now." Blake pinched her little face and said, "Exactly. Your pony stays on the lawn now. You'll like it." "Daddy, you're amazing." Hedwig was extremely excited. She immediately jumped off the chair and threw herself into Blake's arms. Then she kissed Blake's face with her greasy lips. I looked at Hedwig's smug expression and sighed in my heart. Blake doted on Hedwig. He would buy whatever Hedwig wanted for her. What if she became a spoiled kid then? Blake looked at Noah and asked, "Noah, do you like ponies?" "Sure." Noah looked a little disappointed. "Daddy will give you one as a gift, okay?" Blake smiled gently. "Really? Can I have one too?" Noah became happy as his big eyes shone brightly. Blake nodded. "Of course. You are both Daddy's babies. For whatever Hedwig has, you will have the same. I love you two equally. I don't have a bias." I silently finished my breakfast and stood up. You two, go to school after seeing the pony. Remember, listen to the teacher, and don't stir up any trouble. Noah, don't pick on any girls in your class. Understood? Noah shrugged. Mommy, don't worry. I've explained it to you many times. I didn't bully them. They wanted to play with me, and then fought for the right to stay with me. Mommy, I can testify to Noah. They fought with each other to watch Noah paint. Hedwig was afraid that Noah was wronged and defended him right away. Well, try to avoid this from now on. I reminded Noah because such things happened more than once. Well, behave yourself. Mommy has to work now, so I don't have time to deal with your troubles. Daddy is free. If Noah gets into trouble, Daddy will settle it for him. Noah will be fine, Hedwig said smartly. She grinned and leaned into Blake's arms. Blake rubbed her head lovingly. Hedwig is right. Daddy is not afraid of trouble. Daddy cares about you two. What a weirdo. He knew nothing about teaching children. Helping the child to develop a good habit could not be done in a day. He thought it was easy now. If Noah and Hedwig caused trouble for him one day, he would regret his words. Chapter 47. Catherine's POV. Well, have you finished? Do you want to see the ponies or not? I didn't want to quarrel with Blake because I was going to work soon. I looked at Noah and Hedwig. They immediately put the knife and the fork down. Then they jumped off their seats and claimed that they were full. Okay, Daddy will take you to see the ponies. Blake led them out of the door. We left the lakeside villa. On the lawn outside the villa, there were two beautiful ponies. The two ponies, one white and one black, were definitely carefully selected. Their fur was very shiny and they were eating grass with their heads lowered. They looked so cute. Hedwig and Noah forgot all their worries and rushed toward the two ponies. You two! Be careful! Blake suddenly chased after them like a madman. Daddy, run faster! Hedwig shouted excitedly as she ran. Dressed in a suit, Blake ran to Hedwig, failing to keep his hairstyle. I followed behind them and watched them running. My heart suddenly was filled with warmth. The scene was so good that I wanted to remember it forever. Daddy, did you name the ponies? They are so small and cute. They stood next to the ponies with happy smiles. Hedwig reached out to touch the pony, but the pony suddenly raised its head to look at her. She got startled and put back her hand. I went forward and squatted down to hold Hedwig's hand. Don't be afraid. They won't hurt people. They are kind. With my help, Hedwig managed to stroke the pony's head. Its hair was smooth and soft. They don't have a name yet. You and Noah can help them get one, Blake said gently. Noah had been playing with his pony. He grabbed a handful of grass and brought it to the pony's mouth. The pony stretched out its tongue and swallowed the grass. Noah continued to pluck the grass with a happy smile on his face. Hedwig tilted her head and pondered. After a while, she said seriously, Daddy, is it okay to call it Chestnut? Noah's pony can be called Peanut. Noah shook his head in dissatisfaction. Stupid Hedwig. I don't mind if your pony is called Chestnut, but mine is definitely not Peanut. It doesn't match its temperament. I think it should be called Rock. But I really think he matches this name, Noah, Hedwig insisted. Noah compromised and said, Okay, Peanut it is. I won't fight with you. Hedwig smiled stupidly in satisfaction. Daddy, look! It is eating the grass in my hand. Daddy, it almost bit my hand. Daddy, when can I ride it? Daddy, Chestnut ran away. Help me chase it. Daddy, hurry up. After more than half an hour, they still refused to leave. I checked the time and planned to go to the company. I had to persuade them patiently. Noah, Hedwig, it's time to go to school. Mommy doesn't want you to be late for school on the second day. You might leave a bad impression on the teachers. Mommy, I want to get familiar with Chestnut. Can you ask Daddy to ask for a day off for me? Hedwig pleaded with a soft voice. Hedwig, studying is your priority now, I said seriously. Hedwig's big eyes were welling up with tears. Mommy is right. Hedwig, you can't just cry, Noah said. All right. Chestnut, be good. I'll feed you grass when I come back from school. I'll miss you." Hedwig turned around and bid farewell to her pony. Blake let out a sigh of relief. Holding one child in each hand, he quickly walked towards the car. I stood up and was about to leave, but I changed my mind and stopped them. I looked at Blake and asked, "Can you change the car for me? What the car I gave you is not luxurious enough." Blake stopped and raised his eyebrows at me. I shook my head and said seriously, "It's too luxurious. I don't dare to drive it out. People will gossip." When Blake heard the reason, he sneered, "Who doesn't want to drive a good car? Don't you think your reason is ridiculous? I'm a newcomer in the company. If I drive $1 million worth car to work, I'll be a laughingstock." "Then what kind of cheap car do you want? A $5,000 car?" Blake immediately asked sarcastically. Blake was deliberately embarrassing me. Noah suddenly said, "Daddy, Mommy's safety is important. Can't you give her a better car?" Hedwig chimed in, "Daddy, please don't let Mommy drive such a cheap car. If something happens, I will never see Mommy again. I'll be a pitiful girl." Blake said with a cold face, "I will ask Dowan to buy you a car worth $200,000 tomorrow." "It still sounds too expensive." Blake frowned. "Catherine, stop making a fuss. All right, don't ask me for a car only worth $100,000. I don't want them to lose their mother." I froze and shut up. "Mommy, don't you understand what Daddy means? He cares about you," Noah immediately explained with a smile. I rolled my eyes. Blake never cared about me. Hedwig immediately cheered up. "Daddy and Mommy have made up. I'm so happy." Blake snorted. "I wanted to care about her. Unfortunately, your mommy doesn't appreciate it." I wanted to change the topic. Who wanted his care? It was him who kept me and the children from leaving. I still drove Blake's luxury car today, but I decided to park the car a little further away from the company. Yesterday was my first day at work. Blake knocked on my table while patrolling the company, which caused Vanessa to be dissatisfied. She promised to arrange a kind client for me, who belonged to the wolf pack within the jurisdiction of the royal family. The clients of the Chavez group ranged from werewolves to humans. However, if the client was a werewolf, the business would be relatively smooth. After all, the Chavez group symbolized the royal family. I checked this client's information. Her name was Lorelei Pope, a werewolf from the Sunset Wolf Pack in New Jersey. However, I didn't think Vanessa was kind enough to help me. Lorelei was a celebrity, but her temper was a bit bad. She was even accused of turning her nose up at the staff at the airport. Chapter 48, Catherine's POV. I took my drafts and sat in the reception room to wait for Lorelei. Before she came, I pondered how to explain my design idea to her. Suddenly, the door opened and a few people walked in, led by an assistant. "Catherine, they've arrived." I stood up and looked at her with a smile. Suddenly, the beautiful woman in the lead pointed at my face. "You?" I was stunned. I searched my memory, but couldn't recall meeting her before. "I know you. You are the one who quarreled with Gina at the mating gathering. What a coincidence. I didn't expect to meet you here." Seeing that I was confused, the woman explained how we met. Only then did I realize it. It was very late that day. I didn't notice the people around Gina because I wanted to get my mother's necklace back. Even if I met her once, I wouldn't be able to recognize her. "Call Miss Caldwell over. I don't want to cooperate with this woman." Lorelei was in no mood to listen to me at all. She scolded the assistant arrogantly and rudely. "I don't like any of her designs. Ask someone else to talk to me, or I will refuse to cooperate with you." "Then I'll excuse myself now." I planned to leave before the assistant called Melinda over. Lorelei probably thought that I would beg her to stay. She didn't expect that I was going to leave. However, since she was Gina's friend, she naturally held a grudge against me. How could she let me go so easily? "Stop!" Just as I reached the door, Lorelei yelled at me. Then she shook the coat on her shoulder and walked to me in an imposing manner. She was petite and was half a head shorter than me. At that moment, she had to raise her head to talk to me, which annoyed her. She curled her lips and snatched the draft from my hand. "I'll decide after I see it." I frowned. I had never seen a woman ruder than her. Lorelei took the manuscripts and leaned on the sofa casually. She crossed her legs and began to flip through my drafts one by one. As pages of the design drafts flashed in front of her eyes, the arrogance on her face faded a little. At this time, the door was pushed open, and Melinda walked in with a smile. "Ms. Pope, what do you think? If there are any problems, feel free to tell me." Melinda glanced at me. I revealed a helpless expression. Melinda knew that none of this was my fault. Vanessa deliberately handed such a tricky client to a newcomer like me. "Ms. Caldwell, we've met several times before. You assigned an unknown designer to negotiate with me. What is your intention? Are you looking down on the Sunset Pack? The royal family's company can just brush us off, right?" Lorelei threw my drafts to the side and crossed her arms in front of her chest. She looked like she had been wronged. Melinda quickly smiled and comforted her. "Ms. Pope, don't be angry. I only just found out about this. How about this? I'll assign our top designer Vanessa to cater to your needs. You know, she's experienced in the design industry and will surely meet your needs." "All right, hurry up and get someone else. Her face makes me angry." Lorelei heard that a more famous designer would come over. Her attitude improved a little. Melinda turned her head and shot me a glance. I quickly walked over, picked up my drafts, and left. However, I did not go far. Instead, I stood at the entrance of the reception room to wait for Melinda. After a short while, Vanessa walked into the reception room. When Vanessa saw me standing at the door, she glanced at me with pride, opened the door, and entered the room. Vanessa brought her design here. Melinda scolded her. "What's the matter with you? Ms. Pope is our key client. How can you let a newcomer serve her? Hurry up and serve Ms. Pope yourself. If she is not satisfied, you'll know what's waiting for you." Vanessa kept apologizing, but her tone was calm instead of panicked. "Ms. Caldwell, my fault. Please calm down. I will not make such a mistake again. Ms. Pope, this is Vanessa I mentioned. She is an experienced designer in our office. Take a look at her work. If you like it, we will sign the contract and start our cooperation." Melinda smiled. I think Lorelei was just bluffing. The Chavez group belonged to the royal family. She couldn't be too arrogant. At this time, she said more politely, "Ms. Caldwell, I came to you because I trusted you. Don't mind what I said just now. I'll look at Vanessa's design now." In the reception room, Lorelei was listening to Vanessa's explanation of her designs. "Well, Ms. Geiss, call the former designer in. I am quite interested in her design." Lorelei directly denied Vanessa's design. "Ms. Pope, are you not satisfied with my design? Tell me where I can improve," Vanessa continued. "I'm not satisfied with anything. It's too old-fashioned. Your design is outdated," Lorelei said. I was stunned when I heard this. After a while, Vanessa pushed open the door and walked out. She glanced at me and said sourly, "Catherine, take your design to the reception room. Lorelei likes your design more." I frowned. To tell the truth, I didn't want to see Lorelei again, but I didn't want to disappoint Melinda. I pushed open the door and saw Lorelei waiting for me with a stinky face. "What is your name?" "Hello, I'm Catherine Wyatt," I answered. "Catherine, show me your design and tell me more about your idea," Lorelei ordered in a lofty tone. I had to sit next to her and explain my design to her. "These are all your original work, right? I don't want to wear the same clothes as others." Lorelei sneered. I immediately assured her, "These are all my original designs. You can be assured of this." "All right, I will take 10 sets of clothes every month. The price can also be negotiated, but there is one thing you have to promise me. My clothes must be unique, and no one is allowed to wear the same clothes as me." Lorelei raised her chin and demanded. Lorelei handed over the deposit and signed the contract. Cooperation was achieved. Melinda walked to me. "Catherine, I can't believe Lorelei chose your design eventually. Congratulations, you finally settled down the first order. You'll get better and better from now on." Melinda walked over to congratulate me generously. A few of my colleagues also came to congratulate me. Only Vanessa wore a stinky face and avoided looking at me. While I was happy, I noticed Vanessa's upset mood. I sighed helplessly. To be honest, I didn't want to hurt anyone. This whole thing was an accident. Chapter 49. Blake's POV. After sending the kids to school, I went directly to the council hall of the Chavez group. Today, I needed to deal with the royal family's affairs, as well as the reports submitted by the alphas. Ever since I became the Lycan King, I asked the alphas of each pack to intensify the patrols, which greatly reduced the number of attacks by rogues in New Jersey. When I stepped into my office, I saw several photos on my desk. I narrowed my eyes slightly. I picked up the photos and looked at them one by one. I asked Henry to send someone to keep an eye on Catherine yesterday, and he handed me the photos just now. I had thought that Catherine was going to meet another man, but I didn't expect that she was with her line manager. It seemed that this woman had some tricks up her sleeve. It turned out that she was quite in her element in the workplace. I sat in the chair and picked one photo which showed Catherine's face. I didn't know what they were talking about, but they seemed to be chatting happily. Catherine lowered her head and smiled, looking slightly shy. I gave a snort. I had never seen this side of Catherine. I didn't even know that she could be so approachable. Because in front of me, she was always furious and indignant. She always went against me. At the thought of this, I gritted my teeth in anger. Unknowingly, I had been staring at the woman in the photo for a minute. Although the photo was taken from a distance and was a little blurred, Catherine still displayed her unique, beguiling charm. Damn it! I was attracted to that woman just now. Upon realizing this, I immediately threw the photo into the trash can. I had seen many women more beautiful than her. How could I be interested in her? In a short while, my beta Henry came to knock on the door, telling me my schedule today. The next thing on my agenda was the council meeting. After listening to the cliched views of a group of stubborn fogies of the council for an hour, I returned to my office. But I suddenly noticed that the photo in the trash can was gone. So, had someone come in and cleaned up my trash can? I immediately mind-linked Henry. I threw something important into the trash can just now, but it was gone. Who cleaned my office just now? Go get him for me. King Blake, I just cleaned the office. A werewolf staff came in and looked at me with fear. What is the thing that you are looking for? A photo! He immediately went to look for it frantically. Soon he found it. King Blake, is this the photo you were talking about? He asked carefully. I snatched the photo and said with a cold face, Next time, don't touch anything in my office without my permission, even if it is my trash can. He was so frightened that he quickly replied, Yes! I looked at the picture that I had clawed back, opened the bottom drawer, and threw it in. That drawer kept some of my very private things, and it had been a long time since the last time I had put something in. At this moment, I suddenly got a mind link request. Generally speaking, only my subordinates and my family would mind link me. I was stunned for a moment and accepted the request. It was my grandmother. I didn't see this coming. Grandma, are you free tonight, Blake? I came to Sayreville with some friends. I want to hold an alpha gathering. You should join tonight. I could hear the smile in her voice. Most of the core members of the Chavez family lived in New York, and I was the only one working in Sayreville, so I was a little surprised by my grandmother's arrival. Grandma, are you here by yourself? Did Grandpa come with you? I asked. Your grandfather didn't come. Do you have something to ask him? Grandma asked with concern. No big deal. It's just something about how to manage the packs. I want to ask him for advice. If he's not here, then I can ask him next time. Tonight. You have to come. I haven't seen you for a long time. Grandma immediately pleaded. Well, okay. Grandma, see you tonight? I didn't dare to disappoint Grandma, so I had to agree. After cutting off the mind link with my grandmother, I smiled bitterly. I stopped dreaming about finding my fated mate very long ago, but Grandma had not given up yet. She was quite conventional and believed that under the guidance of the moon goddess, I would definitely find the right one. Grandma had arranged a few blind dates for me, with several female werewolves, with noble status, and some of them were female alphas. However, none of them were my mate. My father went to travel around the world with my mother after stepping down, and my younger brother, Leo, was much like my parents and yearned for freedom. He chose to be a star, which angered the members of the royal family and the council. They tried to stop him, but failed to sway his determination to be in showbiz, so they had to let him go. That was why I started to shoulder the responsibility of the entire royal family at a very young age. I became the Lycan King when I was 22. 5 years had passed. I increased the performance of the Chavez group by 10 times and also helped the PACs in New Jersey to develop well. Many people were guessing how wealthy the Chavez family was, but none of them could get the figures right. Actually, I was quite satisfied with my life now, if I could ignore the constant requests of the council that I had to announce the candidate for the Lycan Luna. After work, when I was about to set off for the Alpha gathering, Catherine called me. She said she might have to work late tonight. "Why are you working late?" I was a little angry. Did she not care about the children? Catherine immediately got angry. "I'm developing my career. Please respect me." "I can't go home for dinner tonight either. What about the children?" I had to attend the Alpha gathering, but I was concerned about the children. "You're not going back. Where are you going?" Catherine asked. I sneered and said, "I'm the Lycan King. I have a lot of things to do. You can't expect me to have more idle time than you, can you?" "You don't have to be so lofty. I know you are the Lycan King, but please respect my work," Catherine said. "It's not that I don't respect your work, but you don't have to work so hard. I can provide for you and the kids anyway," I said lightly. Catherine imitated my tone and said, "So what? When my son becomes the Lycan King, I will have a lot of money as well. You?" I was suddenly at a loss for words. Chapter 50. Blake's POV. "Blake, it's not that I can't have your money, I just don't want it. I'm not interested. I want to make my own money. Of course, I can't be richer than you, but it's my own money, and I feel comfortable using it." "Catherine, I can fire you directly. You know I can do that." Upon hearing that she wanted to focus on making money, I immediately said mischievously, "According to the contract, if you want to fire me, you have to pay me at least $100,000 as a penalty. With this money, I can hold on for quite a while and find other jobs." Catherine was not threatened by me at all. "I can make it impossible for you to find any jobs in New Jersey," I threatened. Catherine was immediately annoyed. "Do you dare to do so? If you do, Noah and Hedwig will not acknowledge you as their father anymore. Don't go too far." Catherine's voice was so sharp that I had to take my phone away from me. This woman was so shrewish. "I was just joking with you. How can you be so childish and take it seriously? Don't worry, you can keep working, but you can't neglect the children." I immediately resumed my usual tone, not daring to be impudent to this woman. "Humph, I don't want to talk to you anymore." Catherine hung up the phone directly. After hanging up the phone, I asked my men to set off, and a fleet of cars drove on the road under the neon lights. I was a little tired as I leaned against the back seat and closed my eyes to rest. It was time for Grandma's Alpha gathering. Sayreville was far less prosperous than New York, but there were still many high-end restaurants at downtown. I arrived at the venue. There were already many people from other PACs talking to each other. When I stepped into the venue, I immediately saw an old lady with gray hair and silver glasses. Her temperament stood out in the crowd, and she had the strongest aura. Although her hair was already gray, her skin was still smooth. She still looked radiant. This was my grandmother, Patricia Chavez. "Madam Chavez, you are blessed with such a grandson. I heard that this hotel belongs to King Blake. We are really honored to be able to participate in this gathering." "Yes, Madam Chavez." I saw the satisfied smile on Grandma's face when she heard the compliments of others. The people who received the invitation to this gathering were not only Grandma's friends. There were also people from several powerful PACs in New Jersey. None of these are important to me. Of course, Blake is a great Lycan King. However, he hadn't found her Luna. I'm really anxious about this. I hope that the moon goddess has not given up on him and can guide him to find his mate quickly. Grandma looked at the people in front of her and said with a smile. Several female werewolves, who were the daughters of the alphas, lowered their heads shyly when they heard my grandmother's words. There were 3 ladies around the same age. All of them were young and beautiful. I could tell that they were well raised. However, they came here today for the same purpose. They hoped that they were my destined mate. Therefore, although they appeared to be friendly, they were secretly comparing themselves to each other. I sighed in my heart, then cleared my throat and walked towards the center of the venue. My appearance immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the venue, and some even looked at me blankly, forgetting to control their facial expressions. The 3 women who were standing next to Grandma also immediately looked at me. I didn't look at them. Instead, I walked toward my grandmother directly. I said gently, "Grandma." The 3 women at the side blushed slightly, which was the common reaction of women when they saw me. Grandma waved at me and said with a smile, "Come here, Blake. I will introduce you to some friends." I glanced around and saw the 3 young women looking at me with infatuation. I couldn't help but frown slightly. I maintained my demeanor, walking to my grandmother and sitting down on a chair. "Blake, this is Rosemary Stevenson, the daughter of the Silver Spring Pack's Alpha. This is Helen Bowman, the female Alpha of the White Rose Pack. And this is Margaret Dunn from the Ocean Pack. You can call her Maggie. They are all good children. Say hello to them and give them your number. You can hang out with them in the future," Grandma said straightforwardly, with a smile on her face. I put on a gentle and polite smile and took out 3 business cards from my pocket. "This is my business card. Nice to meet you." In front of Grandma, I tried to be nice to these 3 female wolves. "It's such an honor to meet you too, King Blake." "Yeah. King Blake, you are much more amiable than I thought." The 3 women happily took my business card, blushing with excitement. However, they did not know that it was not my number. It's Henry's. He could find all kinds of excuses to prevent them from seeing me again. To please Grandma, I tried my best to chat with each of them. I endured their fiery gazes as I carefully looked at them one by one. However, just as I expected, none of them was my mate. Leroy didn't even show any signs of waking up. I didn't have any appetite until the end. I could not help thinking about the 2 children at home. I didn't know if they would blame me for not going back. Finally, the gathering was over. I followed behind my grandmother and asked in a low voice, "Grandma, where will you be staying tonight?" "I'm going to my best friend's place tonight. I can have a nice chat with her." "So I'm not going to your place," Grandma said lightly and stared at me sternly. "None of them is your mate? I know that the werewolves you chose were excellent, but they are not my mate. I will try my best to find my mate. Grandma, don't worry. Don't give me an empty promise again, Blake. What can I do to make you think more about finding your mate? You have to know every pack has to have a Luna, and the royal family needs a Lycan Luna. Grandma, don't worry. I'll give you a big surprise in the future. I promise you'll be satisfied," I said softly. "Well, I just hope your surprise won't turn out to be a shock," Grandma sighed. I didn't bring the 2 children to Grandma immediately because I hoped that I could spend more time with them before telling my family the truth. Now, I was still trying to get along with them. Although the 2 little ones accepted me, there was still Catherine in the middle, so I am not confident enough to hold on to them. The thought that the children might leave me made me afraid and worried. I wouldn't let that happen. Chapter 51. Catherine's POV. I planned to finish the designs at the company because Lorelai stated that I had to complete the work within 2 weeks. I would have to give her 10 designs that she would approve of. Currently, she was only satisfied with 3. Therefore, it was challenging to finish the task within 2 weeks when facing such a picky customer. Blake said that he had schedule tonight, so I had to take the designs home for completion. When I drove back and stepped into the parlor, I saw a ridiculous scene. In the luxurious parlor were 2 more adorable creatures. "Mommy, you're back? Come here and take a look. They are Chestnut and Peanut. Are they cute? I like them so much." As soon as Hedwig saw me come back, She ran over happily. She grabbed my finger and pulled me to see her new pets. You! I had yet to recover from this ridiculous scene when I saw Dowan walking over from the dining hall to me. When Dowan saw me, he had a complicated look on his face. "Dowan, how can you let them bring the ponies into the parlor?" I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "My kids were so naughty," Dowan said with a smile. Little Prince and Princess circled the ponies after school. It was dark, but they refused to go home. There were too many mosquitoes outside, so I called His Majesty for his opinion. He agreed to let the ponies accompany them in the parlor. My face was full of disbelief. Was Blake out of his mind? How could he agree to this? "Mommy!" Hedwig still pulled me by the finger desperately. "Mommy, come here to greet Chestnut and Peanut. It's interesting to have fun with them, and they are as meek as Noah and me." "Ms. Wyatt, you could enjoy some time with the kids. His Majesty just called and said that he wouldn't come back for dinner. Dinner will be ready soon," Dowan said as dutiful butler. "Thank you so much, Dowan," I said politely. Noah was sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed like an adult. He was holding a drawing board and seriously painting on it. He was drawing the two blank-eyed ponies standing in the parlor. It was obvious that the ponies were not used to such a strange environment. They looked pitiful, and they would occasionally neigh. "Mommy, say hello to Chestnut." Hedwig was so excited that her face turned red. She pointed at a pony and said. I squatted down and touched the pony's head. Then I said seriously, "Hedwig, Noah, you've gone too far. The ponies are not used to being here. They like to stay on the grass, so I need you to put them back immediately." "Why?" "Mommy, I haven't had enough fun with them. Daddy said I could bring them to the parlor." As soon as Hedwig heard that I would not allow her to play with the ponies here, she became anxious. "Your daddy was crazy because he agreed to such an unreasonable of yours. I would never allow Blake to spoil the kids to such an extent." I put on a stern face and said sternly, "I am serious. Ask Dowan to get the ponies out now and play with them after school tomorrow. Am I made myself clear?" "Mommy, you are so fierce to me." Hedwig felt wronged, and her eyes turned red. She looked pitifully at her pony and then at Noah, who was stunned. "Noah is in the middle of painting. Mommy, can we let them stay here for a while longer?" "No, you can't." I didn't want them to have the habit of doing whatever they wanted, so I raised a strict request. Noah put the drawing board aside with a sad face and said gloomily, "Fine, let's listen to Mommy. Mommy, don't be angry." Hedwig sat away, feeling wronged. She didn't utter a word again. I turned around to look for Dowan. Dowan instructed 2 servants to get the ponies out. I walked over to look at Noah's painting. It was abstract, and it's not easy to read. "Hedwig, are you angry?" I squatted in front of Hedwig, intending to reconcile with her. "I miss Daddy," Hedwig pouted, and tears welled up in her eyes. "I will get the ponies out even if your daddy is here." I was shocked. Hedwig sided with Blake so soon. She just couldn't stand any reprimand, and once I did that, she would use him to deter me. When Hedwig learned that mentioning her father would not work, tears rolled down her cheeks. She was holding back her tears as she sobbed. "Hedwig, what did I say to you? You have to keep good habits and getting rid of bad ones. How can you take the ponies into the parlor? Do you know how much trouble you have caused the maids? Look at the mud all over the ground. Go clean it yourself." I had to discipline Hedwig as a mother. "Fine." Hedwig became stubborn. She trotted with her short legs for a sponge. As soon as Dowan walked in and heard the conversation between me and Hedwig, he comforted her. "Princess, don't run. I'll let a maid do that." "Dowan, you can't spoil her. Let her do it herself," I said cruelly. Dowan was at a loss for what to do as he stood aside. Hedwig ran around and then ran back to me while panting. "I can't find the sponge." "Dowan, please bring her the vacuum cleaner," I said gently. Hedwig's face sank. She did not expect me to be so determined to teach her a lesson. "Ms. Wyatt." "Dowan, it's fine. She often helps with housework. This is good." I thought I had to teach Hedwig a lesson, or she would be more and more willful. Fine, I will bring it to her. In the face of my earnest request, Dowan had to turn around and bring a vacuum cleaner over. Hedwig's face tensed up. Hedwig, hurry up! You can't eat dinner until you clean up the mess. I sat down on the sofa and said domineeringly. Hedwig looked at the cleaner and then at me. She gave in and began to clean the floor with her short arms. Noah was sitting on the sofa. He neither moved nor pleaded for Hedwig. It was my first time seeing him so obedient. Noah! I'm here! Hearing me call him, Noah immediately tensed up. Go help Hedwig. You are to blame as well. To show fairness, I didn't let Noah off. Noah had no choice but to stretch his legs and get down from the sofa. He then slowly walked over. Hedwig, you fool. It's all your fault. Why did you make Mommy angry? Noah, my hands hurt so much. Can you do it for me, please? Hedwig cleaned the floor for a while and felt that her hands were about to be broken. She immediately sent a distress signal to Noah. Humph! Noah, as Hedwig's elder brother, could not resist her plea at all. He had to take the cleaner from her and continue the job. I crossed my arms in front of my chest, leaned against the sofa, and watched the kids do housework in the parlor. Only then did I calm down. But it was just the beginning. Only God knew what would give me a headache in the future. Blake's educational philosophy sucked. He spoiled the kids too much. Chapter 52, Catherine's POV. After Noah and Hedwig cleaned the floor, I took them to the bathroom. At that moment, the bathroom was misty with vapor, and the kids were sitting in the huge bathtub. Hedwig had washed her hair. Her long and slightly wet hair was tied into a bun. Her chopped hair hung down and was stuck to her fair face, making her look so adorable. Hedwig was holding a few wolf toys. She was playing a mother wolf protecting her cubs game. Noah was messing around, and Hedwig was so angry that she kept calling him a bad boy. The cub is lost in the forest. Noah hid a doll behind him and smiled proudly. Mommy, Noah stole my cub. You have to teach him a lesson. Hedwig had no choice but to ask for help. As I applied the shower gel on them, I glared at Noah sternly. Give the toy back to your sister. Don't you find such toys boring before? I chose the doll for her, so what if I play with it? Hedwig is so stingy. Noah made a face at Hedwig in a rage. Hedwig glared back at Noah and grabbed the doll with her small hands. She turned around and ignored Noah. Noah crossed his arms around his chest and snorted. I looked at the two restless kids and sighed resignedly. After a while, Hedwig was in a better mood. She began to hum a nursery rhyme. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his hat, and called it macaroni. However, just as she sang for a while, Noah shouted, It's so disgusting! Hedwig, stop singing! Please let me off! Hedwig deliberately turned her face to Noah's ear and sang louder, Yankee Doodle, keep it up! Yankee Doodle dandy! Watch your manners! If you don't behave yourselves, I will spank you both! I threatened them with a headache. Hedwig turned her face away angrily and did not look at Noah. At this time, she suddenly raised her head and looked at the door behind me. She shouted in surprise, Daddy! I turned my head and found that Blake was standing outside the door. Hey, Hedwig. I just got back now. Blake coughed lightly. He walked over with heavy steps, with an indifferent expression as usual. In fact, he didn't need to explain. Anyway, I didn't care when he was back. Daddy, do you want to listen to a song? I learned it today. When Hedwig saw her daddy, she was overjoyed and immediately wanted to interact with him. Sure, I'm listening. Blake crouched closely to me. Daddy, I suggest you not do that. Her song is horrible. Noah gave his comment first. Noah, you're so annoying. I will sing for Daddy, not you. Hedwig immediately turned enraged and stared at Noah. Make way, please. I said coldly to Blake, who was standing beside me. Did he have nothing to do? Why did he come to watch me bathing the kids? Blake had no choice but to stand up. He walked away and said, Do you need my help? Save it. We are almost done. Just get out of my way. I didn't appreciate his goodwill. Blake frowned slightly in annoyance. I tried the water temperature. The children had to get out of the bathtub, or they would catch a cold. So I sat up with Hedwig in my arms and took a towel to dry her. Hedwig seemed to feel that the atmosphere was a bit off, so she stopped talking and obediently lay in my arms. Blake leaned against the wall and looked at us. Hedwig looked up and asked, "Daddy, is Mommy beautiful?" When I heard Hedwig say this, I immediately raised my head and stared into Blake's eyes. Blake looked at me awkwardly. "Well, Noah seems to have lost weight. I have to ask Dowan to feed him more nutritious food," Blake said seriously. I snorted. It seemed that Blake was meticulous enough to know that Noah had lost weight. "Daddy, let's have fun outside." Seeing that Blake cared about Noah but ignored her, Hedwig ran over and grabbed Blake's large palm, wanting him to play with her. "Okay, I'll carry you out. Be careful, or you will fall." Blake bent down and carried Hedwig. Hedwig lay in Blake's arms and beamed. After I bathed Noah, I washed the children's clothes in the bathroom and then took a shower. "Hey, I want to buy some clothes for the kids tomorrow. Go with me." When Blake saw me passing by, he stopped me. However, he couldn't call out my name. Hedwig, who was in his arms, raised her head and muttered, "Daddy, Mommy has a name." I blurted out, "Sorry, I don't have time for that." Blake became displeased in an instant. "You know the height and shape of the children, and their preferences of colors and styles. You are their mother, so you should be the one to buy clothes for them. I'll write everything on a piece of paper. Just go shopping with it," I said while walking upstairs. "Daddy, have a good talk with Mommy. I think Mommy hates you a lot." Hedwig exposed the truth. "Sweetheart, be with your brother. Daddy will go up and talk to Mommy," said Blake as he followed me upstairs. "Catherine, can't you listen to me seriously?" Blake had always been domineering, and now he had followed me into my bedroom. He crossed his arms in front of his chest, and he was as tyrannical as ever. He leaned against the door and stared at me seriously. "I'm busy," I answered him coldly. It was true because I had to complete my designs. Can you be as busy as me, no matter how much work you have to do? I can even make time for the kids, but you. When I heard his words, I frowned. Then I began quickly writing on paper. Blake's imposing aura became intimidating. "I have finished writing." I grabbed the topmost piece of paper, and without looking up, I reached out to hand it to him. "Take it and leave me alone," Blake asked. "What is this?" "Isn't it what you want?" I frowned. Didn't he come up for me just to know the kids' preferences? Blake froze, and coldness filled his face. "Why did you write them down for me?" What I wrote on the paper was the color and style of clothes that the kids preferred. I didn't have the patience to communicate with Blake. I looked at him with annoyance. "No reason. I'm just telling you that when you buy clothes for them tomorrow, choose according to the color and style on the paper. They will definitely like it." Do you have to be so cold to me? I am their father. Can't we talk properly? Chapter 53. Catherine's POV. No. I lowered my head and kept staring at the drawing paper. "Sorry, I can't do it. I can't force myself to talk to you properly." "Do you hate me that much?" Blake's voice was full of anger. I fell silent. The bedroom was originally quiet, and I could even hear the sound of breathing clearly. After I fell silent, it became deathly silent. "Well, I will take care of our children in my own way in the future. I will never say these meaningless words to you again," Blake said coldly, and then turned to leave. "Close the door, please. I need a quiet environment. Thanks." I heard Blake's words, but I was calm. Then I heard Blake slam the door heavily. He had always wanted more. He forcefully stopped me and my 2 children from leaving. Then we stayed by his side as he wished, and he could finally enjoy the happiness of being with his children. But now, he asked me to be nice to him and get along well with him. Was there such a good thing in this world? Even if there were, he couldn't enjoy all of them. In short, I'm quite angry with Blake now. Whatever he said, I did not want to be obedient or even listen to him. I had no way to accept his sudden appearance, though he did bring a lot of joy to Noah and Hedwig. However, to me, his appearance did not give me any pleasant surprise. Instead, it reminded me of the old scar on my mind. I drew in the room alone for a while, but I was unable to completely calm down. I sighed and looked up at the clock. It was time for Noah and Hedwig to sleep. I went downstairs to the living room, but I did not see them there, so I went back to the second floor. When I passed the balcony, I heard someone talking and walked over. "Daddy, did Catherine bully you?" I heard Hedwig's voice just as I approached the balcony. "How is that possible? No one in this world can bully me, don't worry," Blake's voice sounded. "But I saw on TV that adults smoke because they are in a bad mood. Are you in a bad mood? Tell me, I will help you. And Noah is the best at saying something nice." I was a little moved. Hedwig was so sensible and considerate. "You two are thinking too much. I'm in a good mood. With you two, I will always be in a good mood in the future," Blake said. "Tomorrow after class, let's go shopping together, okay?" Noah asked lightly, "Daddy, did you ask Mommy just now? Will she go with us?" Blake's voice was a little cold. "She doesn't have time for that. I'll go with you. Tell me everything you like, and I'll buy them for you." "Yay! Perfect! I love you so much, Daddy." Hedwig was so happy that she was about to fly in the sky. "Hedwig, go to sleep with your mommy. I will put Noah to bed." It was getting late. Blake checked the time and urged Noah and Hedwig to rest. Then I saw Blake holding Hedwig, walking out from the balcony. "Mommy, I'm going to sleep. I can barely keep my eyes open." Hedwig jumped down from her father's arms and ran to me like a sleepy puppy. I quickly picked up Hedwig. Blake seemed to have nothing to talk about with me. Seeing that he was about to leave, I suddenly said, "I have to mention one thing. Didn't you say before that my kids and I would live in this villa, and you would live in the villa on the hill? But now you have lived with us for several days. How long do you plan to stay?" "I will stay with Noah and Hedwig," Blake answered impatiently. "You go back on your word." I sneered. "Yes, that's right. Didn't you always call me a jerk? That is what a jerk does," Blake said shamelessly. "You're indeed a jerk." I was very angry. I had agreed to come back here because he promised that he wouldn't live with me. But now he appeared in front of me all day. "Don't go too far. Don't you know whose territory you are in?" Blake became angry with shame. Noah coughed deliberately and said, "Daddy, are you going to put me to bed or not? If you don't, I can't fall asleep." After Blake heard Noah's words, his eyes immediately lit up. "Did you hear that? Noah has gotten used to sharing a bed with me. I'm afraid he can't change his habit for the time being," Blake said proudly. I was stunned. I didn't expect Noah to be so sharp, and even change his sides. "You heartless little thing! I've doted on you for nothing." I sighed bitterly. I lowered my head and saw Hedwig leaning against my shoulder. Her big eyes were half closed, and she was about to fall asleep. "Mommy, don't quarrel with Daddy. He is nice to me." Although Hedwig was half awake, she still told me her wish before she fell asleep. I sighed again helplessly. Blake only knew how to spoil children. Noah and Hedwig slowly accepted Blake, and I felt at a loss as if my heart missed a piece and was empty. I couldn't describe what it felt like. Not long after, perhaps I would have to accept the fact that Noah and Hedwig didn't belong to me only. I lowered my head and stared at Hedwig's delicate and cute little face. In fact, her facial features were somewhat similar to Blake's, but her eyes and mouth were like mine more. Even if she didn't smile, her lips would slightly raise like she's smiling and were very beautiful. "Good night, my sweetheart," I murmured. After Hedwig fell asleep, I went back to my room to continue my designs, but I always felt that my inspiration was missing. So I went to the kitchen and rummaged around the refrigerator. I didn't find any wine, but a few cans of beer. I opened a can of beer and took a sip. It was cold, and I enjoyed drinking it. I took the beer and was ready to go back to my room to continue drawing. Unexpectedly, I bumped into someone just after taking 2 steps. Damn it, what are you doing? Blake's voice sounded. Why are you here? I asked curiously, my voice remaining indifferent. Blake sneered. This is kitchen. I came to get something to eat. Do I need your permission? I had nothing to say and planned to bypass him and leave. It's so late and you still drink beer? Blake was shocked and then asked sternly. Can't I? I pursed my lips. When I work at night, I like to drink some alcohol to get inspiration. Are you good at drinking? Blake asked coldly. Just so-so, I answered. I raised my head, took another sip of beer, and slowly swallowed it. The pitch-black living room fell into a deathly silence. Catherine, drinking so much beer at night is not good for your health. Don't you know that? After a few seconds, Blake asked, It's none of your business. I was a little annoyed. Blake was completely unhappy. He frowned and said, It has nothing to do with me indeed. I'm persuading you on behalf of Noah and Hedwig. If they know that you are an alcoholic, it's not as serious as you say. I'm just having some beer and looking for inspiration. I'm not an alcoholic. I was almost amused by Blake's words. I raised my head and took another sip, before turning around to go upstairs. Chapter 55. Blake's POV. I came to the Chavez group early this morning to take care of some company affairs. Unexpectedly, I saw Gina in the hall. To be honest, I hadn't seen her for a while. At the sight of her, I thought of how she lied to me. I coldly rejected her request and let her go to Henry. Henry came to the office to ask for my opinion. I snorted and said, She has the nerve to lie to me, and she fooled me for years. I will not let her off the hook easily. I will make her pay heavily. Gina is now a star. The worst punishment for her, of course, would be a decline in fame. We can cut her off. Let her be sneered and laughed at, Henry said. I nodded. I'll leave it to you. I have no time for such trifles. Also, make sure you clear the place tonight. I don't want anyone to see me and the children in the mall. Henry nodded and promised, King Blake, I've made the arrangements as you asked. I'm sure no one will disturb you. Okay, go ahead to work. When Henry was about to open the door and go out, my assistant walked in with a little panic. King Blake, Mr. Twitty, and Mr. Lawrence are here. My eyes narrowed slightly. How come they were here now? Without waiting for my permission, they came in already. The door of the office was pushed open, and they stepped in directly. Benjamin Lawrence and Howard Twitty were 2 friends of mine. They were the sons of 2 elders of council, Mr. Lawrence and Mr. Twitty. Unlike other members of the royal family, Benjamin and Howard went out early to set up their own companies and worked closely with the Chavez group of the royal family. Blake, why have you been hiding from us these past few days? What are you up to? You are afraid to let us know, right? Howard glared at me with a look of unwillingness. I shrugged and said in a playful tone, What can I up to? I'm just a little busy these days. Are you busy with work, or are you busy with your family? Benjamin asked. I was slightly startled, and my eyes narrowed. Tell me what you know. I heard from my niece that there seem to be 2 more cute kids in the werewolf school. Do you know who that cute boy looks like? As Howard spoke these indecent words, his eyes were fixed on me. Who? There's no need to guess. The boy's name is Noah, and he looks exactly like you, he said sarcastically. Benjamin could no longer suppress his curiosity and asked me directly, Blake, that's your kid, right? They were here to question me. Seeing the expressions on their faces, I realized that they had already known everything, including those they weren't supposed to know. Yes. He's my kid. I didn't deny it because it wouldn't work. Jesus. I have never admired anyone, but now I am so jealous of you. How come you suddenly have these 2 adorable kids? Howard looked frivolous, but he did like children. Howard didn't have any children yet. To be more precise, he hadn't even met his mate yet, and I was already the daddy of 2 children. I've been living in a dream these days. I'm afraid it is just a sweet dream. When I wake up, the 2 little things will disappear. I had mixed feelings, but most importantly, I was so excited. Benjamin was also staring at me with envy. "Do the kids acknowledge you as their daddy?" asked Benjamin with bitterness. I shrugged, as if I heard a stupid question. "Why not?" "I am their daddy. Besides, I adore them, especially my daughter. She is so cute. See how smug he is? Damn, I don't want to see him anymore," Howard said directly. Benjamin nodded solemnly and said, "I'm on your side. In such a way we don't have to face him, our sore point every day." "What the hell? You guys—" I was completely speechless at them. "I suggest we go to your place for dinner tonight. Anyway, neither of us have a mate," Howard suggested. Benjamin agreed. "That's a good idea. We can also get to meet your two kids." "No!" Catherine's cold face emerged in my mind at once. "Why not? Kids beat friends?" Howard frowned in dissatisfaction. Benjamin was also confused. "Are you afraid that we will frighten your kids? Or is it that the mother of the kids lives at your place as well?" "The kids are with me, and naturally their mother is with me as well. But don't think too much about it. Their mother is not my type," I put on a cold face and said with disdain. However, Benjamin was sensitive enough to mention a key role. "Does it have anything to do with what your uncle did to you?" My eyes turned cold, and I narrowed them sharply. "I don't want to talk about it, and you shouldn't be making wild guesses." "What about Gina? What are you going to do?" Benjamin asked, looking like he was enjoying a show. "Gina? I have nothing to do with her. How many times do I have to say it before you believe me?" I was a little annoyed. "Sorry, my bad. I shouldn't have said that. Well, well, I wonder when I can find my mate." Howard pretended to be sad. No one knew whether he was joking or not. Benjamin glanced at Howard and asked in a voice that sounded casual, "What has your sister been up to?" Howard immediately sighed. "She has been busy lately. She is in charge of most of the company matters." "Has she found her mate yet?" There was a little panic on Benjamin's face. After asking Howard the question, he even coughed to cover himself up. Howard replied lazily, "No." You know how these werewolves in the royal family are. They're either less capable or less intimidating than she is. Hearing Howard's words, Benjamin seemed to have taken a hit. His eyes darkened. I was no longer involved in their conversation and was looking down at the documents in my hands, thinking about work. "Howard, I'll treat you to a meal tonight," Benjamin interrupted Howard. "Me? Why?" Howard asked in confusion. "You treated me to a meal last time. I'll return the favor tonight," Benjamin said. "Can you two talk somewhere else? I have work to do. I don't have as much free time as you do." I was a little annoyed and drove them away. "Let's go. Let's talk somewhere else," Benjamin said to Howard. "Fine." Howard had to stand up. Then he turned around and looked at me. "Go back and tell your son that my niece really likes to play with him. Tell him not to be so cold, okay?" I was so mad that I even laughed out loud. "You're such a busybody. How old is your niece? What does she know about liking someone? It's all up to Noah." Howard could only shake his head and left together with Benjamin chapter 56, Blake's POV. After my two friends left, I could finally work in peace until 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Noah and Hedwig had left the werewolf school. I asked Dowan to send them to the mall. Noah and Hedwig got out of the car and found no one in the brightly lit hall. Their black eyes widened in disbelief. "Noah! Why is no one here? Did Daddy bring us to the wrong place?" Hedwig instantly felt a sense of loss. Noah looked around with his big eyes and said, "No. See? The shops above are open." While Noah and Hedwig were talking to themselves, I had already bent down and followed them out of the car. "Daddy, where are the people here? How come there's nobody here? Have they been taken away by monsters? I'm so scared." Hedwig sat firmly on my strong arm while putting her two short arms around my neck. She looked around in a panic. Hedwig's naive and frank words immediately amused my subordinates. I comforted her. "They haven't been taken away. They just can't get in here today." "Why not?" When Hedwig heard my words, she felt a little relieved. She wasn't uneasy like before. Henry, who was also here, explained with a smile, "Because you're the only two guests in the entire mall today." Noah and Hedwig were surprised. Hedwig was so shocked that her small mouth was wide open. Her big eyes blinked. "Daddy, do you own this mall?" "Yes." I looked at Hedwig's shocked expression and smiled. "Daddy, aren't you going to buy us something? Don't just stand there. Let's go and see," Noah hurriedly said. Hedwig became anxious at once. "Yes, that's right. I want to buy something. Daddy, put me down." I had no choice but to put Hedwig down. Before she landed on the ground, she jumped and ran to a children's toy store not far away. I looked at her running away and couldn't help but smile happily again. "Henry, am I indulging the kids too much?" I looked at them in the toy store and suddenly thought of what Catherine had been nagging about all day. She always said Noah and Hedwig were too young, and I shouldn't coddle them too much. She said I could give them lots of love mentally, but I had to control myself when it came to material awards. "King Blake, it's just because you love them so much. See? They are so happy." "You're right. I like to see them happy." I chatted with Henry and went to the toy store. "Daddy, where am I?" Hedwig was playing hide and seek. I was stunned and immediately pretended not to notice where she was. I joined her game. "Baby, where are you? Daddy can't find you. Come out quickly." I pretended to be a bit anxious. From a corner came Hedwig's muffled laughter. She giggled. "Hedwig, you fool! Stop it! Do you remember what I said to you?" Noah walked over and pulled Hedwig out of the toy pile. Hedwig froze and pushed him away. "Noah, you are so annoying. I am playing hide and seek with Daddy. Why did you pull me out? Daddy hasn't found me yet." Noah rolled his eyes and said, "Daddy was just pretending he didn't find you. Do you really think you were hiding so well?" "Hedwig, pick some of your favorite toys, and then let's go somewhere else." Noah had packed a large number of his favorite machine toys and models. Hedwig blinked her big eyes. Seeing that Noah had grabbed so much, she immediately looked around and finally came to a conclusion. "All the toys here are my favorite. Can I take them all?" Noah was stunned and looked at me coming out from behind the shelf. I was about to say yes, but Noah immediately scolded Hedwig as if he were an adult. "Mommy will be mad if you take that much back. Don't be so greedy. Just pick a few. You can always ask Daddy to buy the toys you want for you in the future." Reluctantly, Hedwig went over and took a toy rabbit and a Barbie doll in a white dress and held them in her arms. "These two, then." After being lectured by Noah, Hedwig was not greedy at all. "Let's go and check out the others." I picked Hedwig up. "Henry, where's the section for children's clothes?" I wanted to buy some clothes for Noah and Hedwig. Henry had already investigated the mall thoroughly and immediately said, "It's in the north area on the 3rd floor." "Let's go. We'll take a look at the clothes. I'll buy some nice clothes for my babies," I said, and subconsciously kissed Hedwig on the cheek. In the children's clothing area on the 3rd floor, we stopped. After I put Hedwig down, I took out a piece of paper from my suit pocket. At the sight of this messy piece of paper, I wanted to tear it to pieces. Did that woman ever care about the children? "Hedwig, what kind of clothes do you like? Why don't you pick it out for yourself?" Catherine was being too general. She just wrote that Hedwig liked pink things, princess dresses, etc. I had no idea what a princess dress was, and pink clothes were everywhere. Which ones were pretty, and which weren't? "Daddy, how about this one?" Hedwig casually came to a green dress and pointed. I walked over, took off the dress, and clutched it to her chest. "No, it's too long." "Noah, pick the clothes you like." "No. Mommy buys all my clothes for me. She has good taste." Noah crossed his hands with an air of arrogance, as if he was not interested in buying clothes at all. I looked at them. Hedwig looked confused, while Noah looked like he was not interested. I suddenly feel that this shopping was kind of failed. I didn't plan it well enough. Next time I'll ask your mommy to come with us together. I had a headache. After hearing my words, Noah rolled his big eyes and said, "Daddy, you should give Mommy a lot of money and let her buy clothes for us. The clothes she picked are the best." Fine. I thought it was better to let Catherine dress the kids. Daddy, now that we're here, let's browse more. They were still reluctant to go back. Okay, let's browse more. I'm here to accompany you anyway. I nodded gently. Noah immediately ran forward. Hedwig held the toys and dolls she picked and quickly chased after him. Noah and Hedwig's laughter echoed around the mall. My ears were filled with Hedwig's voice. Noah, wait for me. Wait! Chapter 57. Blake's POV. In a spacious corridor on the 5th floor, Noah and Hedwig suddenly stopped. Two pairs of big eyes stared at the row of jewelry stores ahead. Hedwig looked at the shiny jewelry. Her two big eyes lit up. They are so beautiful. Though Hedwig was still at such a young age, she favored such shiny things already. Mommy likes them as well. Noah also leaned against the glass and looked at the jewelry. Henry laughed out loud at once. King Blake, it seems that children also like these shiny things. You're right. It's a shame that Hedwig is too young. Otherwise, I would have bought something for her, I said emotionally. Daddy, come here. Hedwig looked back and saw me standing behind her. She immediately waved her little hands at me. I immediately stepped forward and stood beside Hedwig, bending down and admiring the jewelry together with her. Daddy, will you buy me anything I want? Hedwig suddenly raised her face and asked me, looking innocent. I was slightly stunned, and then I replied gently, Of course. Whatever Hedwig wants, Daddy will buy it for you. Daddy, can you buy me all the jewelry in this shop? Just put them in my bag. Seeing that, I agreed. Hedwig immediately took off the backpack on her back and opened the zipper. Daddy, hurry up. Help me put them away. I like them so much. Hedwig still looked innocent, but her tone was a little anxious. I couldn't help but frown. Hedwig, you are too young to put them on. When you grow up? I'm not asking them for myself. I want to give them to my mommy. Mommy likes jewelry, answered Hedwig. What? I was utterly shocked this time. Then I asked, Did your mommy ask you to buy these things? No. It's me that wants her to have them. Mommy was reluctant to buy them in the past, said Hedwig. Hedwig, if your mommy likes jewelry, I will buy them for her next time. No, buy them now. I don't want to wait. Daddy, you broke your word. Hedwig instantly sat on the floor and cried. I was a little speechless as I watched Hedwig raise her head and cry. I stared at Noah sharply, who was standing beside me as if nothing had happened. Noah turned away at once after meeting my gaze. I knew who was behind this when I saw his appearance. I don't want to talk to you anymore, Daddy. You broke your word. Hedwig was so sad. Hedwig, stop crying. I didn't break my word. If you really want some, I will get you a few. I don't want a few. I want my whole backpack filled up. Hedwig pouted. All right. We'll fill it up. We'll definitely fill your backpack up. Noah's too. Hedwig pointed to Noah's backpack with her finger in the next second. I once again stared at Noah. Noah moved 2 steps to the side with a guilty conscience. Okay, just get up first. You'll catch a cold sitting on the ground. I had nothing to say. After all, I promised Hedwig. Henry, I shouted. Pack up the jewelry and fill the kids' backpacks. I deliberately emphasized the words, pack up. Yes, King Blake. Henry had to begin to carefully pack the expensive glittering jewels for them one by one. Hedwig and Noah followed behind Henry like 2 little tails. They stared at Henry, afraid that he would pack less. Of course, Henry had to be hopping. Soon, both backpacks were bulging. Okay, they are already full, Henry said. Settle the accounts and have them to me first thing in the morning, I ordered Henry in a light tone, and then looked at the tears in Hedwig's big eyes. I wiped them off with my fingers. Hedwig, Daddy has packed them for you. Should we go home now? Ahem. Noah suddenly cleared his throat. Hedwig thought for a moment, and then she said, Daddy, I want to buy some cosmetics for my mommy. I froze. Daddy, please. If Mommy doesn't have cosmetics, she won't be so beautiful. Hedwig immediately shook my big hand and pleaded. How could I refuse Hedwig's love for her mommy? I could only wave my hand and say, Sure, I'll buy some cosmetics. Thank you, Daddy. You are the best. To express her gratitude, Hedwig kissed me on the cheek. I was dumbfounded. Arriving at the cosmetics section, Hedwig held Noah's hand and walked around the counter several times. Noah? Do you know what Mommy likes? Hedwig blinked her big eyes, and her face was full of confusion. There were all kinds of cosmetics, and Hedwig was totally unfamiliar with them. Hedwig was at a loss right now. I have no idea. I think maybe we can grab a bottle of everything so that Mommy can choose what she likes, Noah said after some thought. Hedwig looked at Noah with admiration. Noah immediately took a shopping bag from the side, and they started shopping. The two kids tiptoed and picked up bottles at each counter. Seeing this, Henry and I were speechless. What a scene! King Blake, the prince and the princess are so nice to Miss Wyatt. Whatever they do, they think of her. Noah and Hedwig were Catherine's dearest kids indeed. They were here to buy things for her. The money spent this time was already in the millions, provided that they would stop selecting products now. They dragged a bag full of makeup back to me. Mommy doesn't have a lot of clothes to wear, Noah suddenly said. Hedwig immediately looked at me with a pair of big clear eyes. Okay, I'll choose clothes for her. You two are so thoughtful. I'm sure she will be very happy. I thought coldly in my heart, isn't that woman always so cool and aloof? I don't believe she can remain the same when she sees the jewelry. I'd love to see what she would look like when she saw the jewelry. Perhaps her eyes would shine brightly. When we arrived at the women's section, I sat the two kids down on the couch. They were really tired from running, and their faces were red. I slowly and leisurely walked past rows of clothes racks, picking up a dozen sets of clothes based on my taste. It was just about 7 p.m. when we got home. Dowan had already come back to prepare dinner for us. Mommy! Mommy! When the car stopped at the door of the parlor, Hedwig was very eager to show Catherine the gifts she and Noah had prepared for her. I looked at Hedwig when she rushed upstairs and couldn't help but feel a little upset. Hedwig was so good to Catherine. Daddy, you are very generous today. You are indeed a man. I will tell Mommy about it. Noah suddenly said these words to me when he got out of the car. I froze. Did that mean I got Noah's approval? Chapter 58. Catherine's POV. Blake took Noah and Hedwig shopping at the mall today. I got to work quietly for a while after coming back. It was getting late. I was drawing in my room when I heard Hedwig's happy voice from afar. I guessed that she was so happy because she had bought a lot of toys. I put down my pen and quickly walked to the door. When I opened the door, a soft, delicate body pounced on me. She hugged my leg. Mommy, come downstairs now. One of my fingers was held tightly by her small hand. She pulled me downstairs with force. I smiled as I saw how excited Hedwig was. As long as the kids were having fun, I wouldn't say no to them hanging out with that man anymore. In the parlor, high on the roof, a huge chandelier was lit up, and the lights were bright. I saw the man sitting on the sofa. He turned his head and looked at me. Our eyes met for only a second before I quickly lowered my head and looked at the stairs. Mommy, come and see. Daddy bought you a lot of gifts. You will love them. Hedwig pulled my hand and walked to the couch in the parlor. I frowned slightly when Hedwig said Blake bought those gifts. What was he up to? Why did he buy me gifts? Was he trying to buy me off? Noah, open your backpack and show them to Mommy, Hedwig urged Noah with great joy. I watched as the two kids opened their bags and took out the things one by one. They were all very exquisite little boxes in all shapes. In each box, there was sparkling jewelry, ranging from bracelets, necklaces, rings to earrings. What are these? I was stunned. I admitted that I had never seen such big diamonds in my life, and I had never seen so much jewelry. However, in the next second, I fixed my eyes on Blake sternly. Are these you bought for me? Blake glanced over the boxes on the table, and his thin lips curled slightly. It wasn't me. The children asked me to give them to you. Mommy, don't you like them? It wasn't easy for Noah and me to get them back for you, Hedwig said in a low voice. Since she did not see a happy smile on my face, she was a little panicked. She immediately pulled the corner of my clothes carefully. I ignored Hedwig's frightened look and still stared at Blake. What are you doing? Are you trying to prove how rich you are? You know I won't take anything from you. Blake's face instantly became sullen. He tried to be patient and said, I told you already. I wasn't the one who chose these things for you. The kids thought you needed them, so they picked them up for you. My face was stiff, and I slowly turned to look at Noah, who was standing silently beside me. Noah, is this your idea? I was certain, in fact. Hedwig was not as smart as Noah, and she couldn't think of such a complex plan. It must have been Noah. Noah immediately raised his face and laughed dryly. Mommy, I thought you would like them. Daddy bought them anyway, so you might as well take them. Noah, it's really you. I was angry at once and glared at Noah. Who told you to bring these things back? Blake was taken aback by my stern rebuke as well. He immediately turned his head and said unhappily, Hey! Why are you scolding the kids? They asked me to buy these things for your sake. All they thought about was you. Instead of thanking them for their good intentions, you scolded them instead. You are being so unreasonable. I'm talking to my kids. Don't interrupt, I said. In fact, I also had mixed feelings. But I felt that the kids indeed made a mistake today. They shouldn't have taken such valuable things at such a young age. Though they did not steal or rob, it was still a bit too much. Mommy, don't blame Noah. I took the things too. Blame me as well. Hedwig immediately ran to Noah while tears were streaming down her face. She was so determined to face whatever was upcoming together with him. Mommy, stop scolding me, please. I know I was wrong. It won't happen again. Noah seemed to know that he had gone too far. Seeing that they admitted their mistake with the right attitude, I was no longer angry, but I still warned them very solemnly. No more taking things in the future. Keep your hands off them. Okay. What about you? I turned to Hedwig. She pouted and nodded with a wronged look on her face. Blake, who stood next to them, looked at me in shock. Return all these things, and I'll spare you this time. Never do such a thing again. I stood up after I finished speaking. Noah and Hedwig looked at each other and sighed dejectedly. Daddy, could you return these things? Mommy doesn't want them. Noah walked over and said to Blake, You guys do whatever your mommy says. Why? Did she spank you before? Asked Blake. I glanced at Blake with some dissatisfaction. What was he suggesting? Yes, she sometimes spanks us on the bottom, Hedwig said frankly. Blake's eyes darkened. I felt a little guilty and looked away. It was purely symbolic. No harm was done. But Blake didn't ask further, so I didn't explain. All right, I'll ask Henry to put all these things back tomorrow. Don't be sad, you two. Your mommy knows how much you love her. She won't accept these things because she can't accept me yet. After we become a real family in the future. What are you talking about? I interrupted Blake before he finished. Blake immediately stopped talking. Daddy, what do you mean by becoming a real family? Are you going to marry Mommy? Noah was very happy. I frowned and said coldly, Don't talk nonsense. Don't make promises you can't keep in front of the kids. They will take it seriously. Rate Dowan quickly smiled as he walked over and said to us, King Blake, Ms. Wyatt, dinner is ready. You can take the kids to eat now. Chapter 59. Catherine's POV. Hedwig, Noah, come and wash your hands, I said to them. The two kids immediately sprang over. As I washed their hands, Noah looked up and asked, Mommy, are you still angry? No, I'm okay now. I took a towel and wiped their hands clean. I'm glad you always think of me. I was a little harsh to you just now because I hope you'll bear in mind never take anything that does not belong to you. No matter how valuable it is, no matter how much you like it, you just can't take it. Do you understand? Noah immediately nodded. I got it! Hedwig also nodded, but maybe she still didn't understand what I meant. After helping Noah and Hedwig wash up, I held their hands and led them to the table. Blake fixed his eyes on me. I couldn't tell what exactly he was thinking, but I bet he had some bad ideas. I glanced at him snappily. I caught a glimpse of his smiling lips. My heart beat wildly. Why did I have such a weird premonition? Mommy, when will we celebrate our birthday? A girl celebrated her birthday at the werewolf school today, and the teacher prepared a crescent-shaped birthday cake for her. The cake was delicious, and the teacher even gave her a gift. Can we celebrate our birthday ahead of time so that the teacher will prepare a cake for us? Hedwig asked excitedly while eating. I looked up at Blake and said to the kids flatly, Your birthday is more than 2 months away. When the time comes, Mommy will prepare gifts and cakes for you. Can't we celebrate it earlier? Hedwig pouted. Blake said in a low and pleasant voice, the look on his handsome face gentle. Baby, anytime you want to eat cakes, Dowan can prepare one for you. Really? Then I want one now. Hedwig was persistent. Now? Blake sounded startled. Then he looked at me and said, Ask your mommy first. Well, I don't get the final say. Blake was smarter now. In terms of things that might upset the children, he would pass the buck to me. Mommy. Hedwig looked at me pitifully. I stroked her head and said, It's too late for a cake. Dinner is enough. Having sweet food at night is not good for your teeth. But I just want one. Hedwig immediately looked at Blake. However, Blake quickly lowered his head and pretended to focus on eating. Hedwig, you will listen to Mommy, won't you? I was worried that Blake would say yes to her absurd request again, so I became stern. Hedwig was shrewd. If she was sure that sweet words and a cute face would help, she would use them to get what she wanted. If she wasn't sure, she would weigh the pros and cons carefully and give up on her request to avoid scolding. All right, I will wait. When Hedwig saw I was about to get angry, she immediately became obedient. After dinner, they forgot about the unhappy incident and begged Blake to shift. I stood on the terrace on the second floor and watched the tall black wolf running around the grass with the kids. I could hear their happy laughter. The kids' carefree laughter kind of depressed me. Growing up meant so many worries. After the 2 kids got tired, Blake helped them take a bath and then led Hedwig to my room. Daddy, good night. Hedwig sweetly waved goodbye to Blake. The next morning arrived. I went to the company as usual. Vanessa was reluctant to talk to me because I stole her limelight. Melinda was aware and simply moved my desk to the other side. At around 9 p.m., Melinda suddenly walked out of her office and excitedly clapped her hands. May I have your attentions? Good news! All of us put down our work and looked at Melinda in surprise. Melinda announced, I just received a call saying that the headquarters will choose a department every month to enjoy a free meal treated by King Blake. We are very lucky to be the first department selected. At noon, you can put down your work and enjoy a sumptuous meal. The news cheered up the entire office. Almost all the female werewolves were overwhelmed with excitement. God, I can't believe it. I can have lunch with King Blake at the same table. True that. If I had known this would happen, I would have dressed better. I didn't wash my hair this morning. What should I do? When these female werewolves could barely control their excitement, I lowered my head. What the hell was Blake doing this time? Why did he suddenly invite all the people in my office to lunch? I couldn't stay in such a lively office anymore. I planned to go out for a stroll and get some air. I looked down at my phone in a relatively quiet place. Was I supposed to call Blake and talk about this? When I saw his number, I became a little hesitant. Was he busy now? Was it convenient for him to answer the phone? I wasn't a bossy and unreasonable woman. I put on a long face in front of Blake because he wanted to take away my children all of a sudden. Hesitant though I was, I accidentally dialed the number. My heart skipped a beat. Since I had dialed the number, I could only hold the line. Fortunately, the phone beeped a few times before Blake's deep voice sounded, What's up? Do you know you're going to have lunch with my colleagues later? I asked directly. I do. My heart sank a bit at his answer. You do? Then why didn't you cancel the lunch meeting? When you're here, if someone finds out about our relationship, our deal will be broken. I raised my voice a little. I'm also caught in the middle, Blake said lightly. I did suggest the new benefit, but I didn't expect your department got to be the first. If I cancel it now, my reputation would be damaged in the employees' hearts. Don't worry, I will pretend I don't know you. I hope you can keep your word. Don't make things difficult for me. I hung up the phone. I wanted to talk him out of the lunch thing, but judging from his tone, I had to give up my fantasy. Chapter 60. Catherine's POV. It was soon noon. In a high-end restaurant in downtown Sayreville, all the tables were reserved by the Chavez Group. King Blake would treat us there. Melinda led everyone in our department. We stood at the entrance of the restaurant, waiting for Blake. These female werewolves were usually cool when they were working, but now they were so excited that their hands and feet were trembling. A few young and beautiful girls had put on delicate makeup, hoping that Blake might fall in love with them at first sight. Around 12 p.m., Blake's fleet stopped outside the restaurant, and he came with several subordinates. I could recognize his Beta Henry, and it seemed that his Gamma also came. I lowered my head and stood behind the crowd. I could feel that when Blake passed by, his gaze rested on me for a few seconds. King Blake, we are really honored to be the first to enjoy the company's new benefit. Melinda walked over to welcome Blake and expressed her gratitude with excitement. Blake politely reached out his hand and shook it with Melinda. His every move was filled with the charm and demeanor of a king. He was tall and straight. The formal bespoke suit fitted him well, bringing out how noble and extraordinary he was. Standing in the crowd, I tried my best to ignore him. Unfortunately, his presence was no way to be ignored since he was so strong and powerful. I secretly threw a few glances at him and saw Melinda bowing to him as if he was a god. I never saw this side of him. I found him totally strange now, and I didn't know what to do. In the villa, when the two kids were with us, I could treat him with coldness and indifference since I still had resentment toward him in my heart. But at that moment, he appeared in front of me as my boss. I realized that he was a true king, the Lycan king of the entire wolf pack, and I no longer dared to do whatever I wanted in front of him. When Blake passed by me, he didn't stop and directly stepped into the room. By the time I sat down, I found that Melinda put me at the same table as Blake. I didn't know what Melinda meant by that. What was going on? I was totally stunned. Since Melinda had arranged such a position for me, I couldn't leave, so I just took my seat quietly. There was a faint smile on Blake's handsome face, which gave a rare sense of kindness. The group of female werewolves in the private room were all shyly stealing glances at Blake. The more they looked at him, the more tempted they became. How could there be such a perfect werewolf in this world? He was a perfect incarnation created by the moon goddess. What would it be like to date this kind of man? That would be the greatest happiness for sure. The female werewolves were willing to die for that chance. Delicious food was quickly served, and the aroma came into everyone's nostrils, giving everyone a good appetite. However, it was not easy to just enjoy the food when one sat with the Lycan king. Soon, someone began to toast Blake's subordinates with red wine and tried to chat with them. I lowered my head, pretending I didn't notice what happened around me. Catherine, go and say hello to King Blake. Melinda suddenly whispered my name. I was slightly stunned. When I raised my eyes, I saw Blake sitting in his seat with perfect ease. And he was looking at me with his unfathomable eyes. My heart skipped a beat because of his gaze. Hurry up, go! Melinda was still urging me, as if this was really an opportunity too good to be missed. I had no choice but to put down my Ford and pick up a glass of wine. Walk over there! Melinda's lowered voice sounded again. I had no choice but to walk to Blake. However, I did not expect that just as I was about to reach him, someone would reach out a foot and trip me. The glass in my hand flew directly towards Blake, and I myself was not spared. With a scream, I directly threw myself into Blake's arms. This sudden accident caused everyone there to stop what they were doing. They looked at me, who was struggling to stand up from Blake's arms. I didn't expect such an embarrassing thing to happen. I looked up again and saw that a large part of Blake's black jacket was wet with my wine. Melinda was also stunned. She quickly walked over and scolded me. "What? What's wrong with you? Do you even know how to walk? Look, the wine has spilled on King Blake's clothes. Hurry up and get a tissue to wipe it off for him." I was woken up by Melinda's voice. Then I took a tissue and walked over to Blake, about to wipe his collar. Blake didn't refuse. He just fixed his eyes on me. "I'm sorry, King Blake." Although I was sorry for my mistake, I knew that someone had tripped me just now. Otherwise, I wouldn't have thrown myself into his arms. Who was it? I looked back angrily. There were 3 women sitting in the place I had just walked past. All 3 of them were suspicious. "All right, there's no need to wipe my collar. I'm fine." Blake was not angry. He only reached out and gently pushed my hand away. Melinda immediately apologized. "King Blake, I'm really sorry. She is new here. There are some things that she hasn't done well enough. I hope you don't blame her." Blake narrowed his eyes. I lowered my head and stopped talking. Blake looked up at Melinda and said, "It's just an accident, no big deal. Go back to your seat and eat." I sat back down. Soon I heard people whispering about me. "What a good show. She let King Blake hug her by doing that. Why didn't I think of this?" I knew that after that little episode, I would definitely become the focus of everyone's discussion. I was not upset, but angry. If I found out who tripped me, I would not forgive her. During the meal, I didn't look up at Blake anymore, but I could always feel a strong gaze resting on me from time to time. When I raised my head to look, that gaze disappeared again. My heart was in a mess. At the entrance of the hall, Melinda led us to stand at the gate to see Blake off. I was still the one standing at the back. When we were about to enter the company lobby, we suddenly saw an expensive sports car parked at the entrance. Everyone's attention was drawn over, and I was no exception. "Catherine!" Just as I was passing by the car, the door opened and a charming young woman came out. Everyone was in an uproar as they cried out in surprise, "It's Gina!" I didn't expect her to be so beautiful. Chapter 61. Catherine's POV. I heard the colleagues around me exclaiming. I looked over unhappily. Why was Gina here at this time? Gina walked over to me. I glanced at her and said, "What do you want?" Gina, who had been cocky, immediately changed her tone. She became a little gentler. "Kathy, get in the car. I have something to tell you." "I still have work to do. I don't have time." In fact, I was lying. I just didn't want to talk to her. Everyone there was staring at me. In their opinion, I was putting on airs while Gina came to me personally, which was very baffling. Of course, those people only thought so because they didn't know about the history between Gina and me. "Catherine, are you sure you want to talk about things between us here?" Gina threatened. When I heard this, I couldn't help but freeze. Gina and I had nothing to talk about at first, but ever since I brought up the matter with Blake 5 years ago, Gina seemed to have a lot to talk to me about. I had no choice but to turn around and say to Melinda, "Melinda, I'll be up later." Melinda waved at me and said, "Sure, no problem." I sat in Gina's luxury car. Gina drove the car out. The atmosphere inside the car was very dull. "What exactly do you want?" I asked. Gina immediately pulled over, turned off the engine, and glared at me. "Have you met King Blake?" "No," I replied coldly. "You're lying. Did you go to King Blake and tell him that you were the woman 5 years ago?" Gina was so angry that her face was twisted. She looked as if she wanted to slap me. I was shocked. Gina did suspect me. Even if I did, I would only be telling the truth. What's wrong with that? I did not admit it, and nor did I deny it. Anyway, Blake knew about this, and he was going to get back at Gina for lying to him. Gina was so flustered and exasperated now. I assumed that Blake had already made a move. Gina's face was deathly pale. Gina knew she was wrong regarding this matter, but on no ground was she willing to give all these away just like that. You said you wouldn't rat me out if I gave you back your mother's things. How shameless of you. You really told him. You have destroyed me. I will not let you off the hook easily. Gina immediately threatened me. Is that so? But it was your fault. You refused to return that necklace to me, and if you had given it back to me, I'd be out of New Jersey by now. Do you think I want to stay here? Also, I didn't rat you out. 5 years ago, I lost my virginity to him, and you have lived an extravagant life for 5 years in my name. If anyone is shameless, it should be you. I mocked, sneered, and even looked down on every word Gina said. Gina suddenly turned mute, her face full of shock and helplessness. Then, she suddenly changed her tone and grabbed my hand tightly. She cried and begged, "Kathy, we are sisters. Can't you help me for once? Don't go to Blake anymore. I promise. I promise I will return that necklace to you once I find it. Don't let me lose everything I have all of a sudden. I'll die." I was startled by Gina's sudden change, and I hurriedly pulled my hand out of her hand. I said coldly, "Gina, don't you know how all of this happened? If Elena hadn't asked me to go to Shadow Forest to find you, I wouldn't have met Blake, and I wouldn't have had sex with him. I'm telling you, you deserve it. I can't help you, and I won't help you." After I finished speaking, I pushed the door open, got out of the car, and slammed the door shut. I saw Gina, who was sitting in the car. Her face was filled with despair. Then I left without looking back. I walked very quickly, and I got a taste of revenge. For the past 5 years, I had been eagerly waiting to see what would happen to Gina in the end. Maybe I was a little dark inside. After rejecting Gina, I was in a good mood. Soon it was time to get off work. I packed up my things and was ready to leave. Piers suddenly came up to me and said, "Catherine, do you have any plans after work? Do you want to grab something to eat together?" I glanced at Piers. Just as I was about to refuse him, I suddenly felt Ava waking up. I was stunned for a second, and then I quickly smiled at Piers. "Sorry, I have arrangements later. Let's take a rain check." I hurried off with my purse after I finished speaking. For some reason, I felt that Eva's awakening was very strange. Eva was a little restless. "Eva, what's wrong? Are we in danger?" I asked in my heart. Eva was silent for a moment before responding, "Catherine, something is going on with Hedwig." My heart suddenly sank, and I broke out in cold sweat. I hurriedly asked, "What happened to Hedwig? Is she in danger?" I could only feel her emotions vaguely. Something seemed to have happened to her. Eva seemed to sense it, and then it told me, "But things are back to normal now." I wanted to ask more in detail, but Eva already felt tired and fell asleep again. I glanced at the time and decided to go back home first, so I started the car. When I arrived, it was already 6 p.m. As soon as I entered the door, I immediately looked for Hedwig. I saw her in the parlor at once. I breathed a sigh of relief and walked toward Hedwig. However, I saw Hedwig hiding behind the sofa, as if she had done something wrong. I already knew the two kids very well. Therefore, Hedwig's subtle action immediately caught my attention. I put down my purse and wanted to go around the sofa to hug Hedwig. Yet she was frightened and immediately ran away. "Hedwig, why are you running away from me? Don't you want Mommy to hug you?" I was stunned for a moment, and then I felt a bit strange. Hedwig ran to the dining room and hid behind a chair. Her two large eyes looked at me through the hollow pattern on the chair. "That's weird. What's wrong with her?" I put one hand on my waist and looked at Hedwig dumbfoundedly. Hedwig was still playing hide-and-seek with me. I was somewhat speechless. Just then, Dowan walked in. "Ms. Wyatt, you are back. Where's Noah? Why didn't I see him?" "The prince is playing with his toys on the second floor." I know that Noah asked Blake to buy a lot of toys for him yesterday. Noah must be glued to them right now. It was no wonder that he left Hedwig alone in the parlor. Chapter 62. Catherine's Pea. Dowan, what happened to Hedwig? Do you know something? I asked curiously. Dowan replied honestly. The princess has been like this after King Blake sent her back this afternoon. I don't know what happened either. Maybe she was frightened. My brows couldn't help but twitch. It was the same time that Eva told me that something was wrong with Hedwig. But what exactly happened to Hedwig? I looked up and saw that Dowan was still looking at me. So I smiled and said, "Okay, I'll take her upstairs to play with Noah." Dowan nodded and went off to do something else. I squatted down and smiled at Hedwig. "Hedwig, come here. Let's go upstairs to find Noah and let him play with you, okay?" "Mommy, I don't want to play. I want to wait for Daddy to come back," Hedwig said in a low voice, as if she was afraid. "Your daddy won't be back so soon. Mommy will play with you for a while, okay?" I still smiled gently. Hedwig immediately shook her head and said, "No, I want Daddy. Daddy promised me." I had to stand up and say, "Hedwig, are you abandoning me? I'm so sad." When Hedwig heard me say this, she was hesitant, but she still did not come to my side. My hands were tied. I decided to go back upstairs and change before hugging Hedwig. As soon as I walked up the stairs, I saw her run out of the parlor. She sat quietly on the steps, waiting for Blake to come back. I changed my clothes and went to Noah. Sure enough, Noah was sitting on the ground and playing with a remote control train while mimicking the sound of the train. "Noah!" I pushed the door in, which startled Noah. He quickly stood up. Noah said, "Mommy, you're back!" "I need to ask you something. Did something happen to Hedwig at school today?" I decided to seek an answer from Noah instead of calling Blake directly. I was sure Noah knew something. "Nothing! Nothing happened!" Noah panicked and stuttered. I narrowed my eyes and stared at him sternly. "Raise your head and look me in the eye, yes or no." Noah had to look up at me and say, "Mommy, I don't know. You should ask Daddy. Daddy took her away." "You really don't know?" I sighed. How could Noah be like this? How could he have no idea what happened to Hedwig? "Yes, I really don't know." Noah didn't dare say anything else. I looked at Noah and was even more certain that something had happened to Hedwig at school. At the same time, there was a sound coming from outside the window, which was the sound of a car driving into the courtyard. I thought Blake was back, so I hurriedly left Noah's room. As soon as I walked down the stairs, I saw Blake rushing towards Hedwig. Hedwig looked so pitiful. She shrunk into a ball and sat there in a daze. I did not know if she was asleep. Her delicate body shook a few times. Blake squatted down in front of Hedwig and asked, "Hedwig, why are you sitting alone at the door?" As soon as Hedwig heard Blake's voice, she immediately looked up and said happily, "Daddy, you're back finally. I have been waiting for you for a long time." "Waiting for me?" Blake was slightly stunned. "That's right. I wanted to see Daddy as soon as possible, so I have been sitting here and waiting for you." Hedwig was smiling. Blake held Hedwig in his arms, stroked her little head, and scolded her softly. "You little fool, don't sit on the floor while waiting for Daddy. Just wait in the parlor, okay?" "But Daddy, I want to see you soon," Hedwig said. When I heard Hedwig's words, I felt bitter. Since when did Hedwig become so dependent on Blake? "Okay, Daddy, Mommy is back. You must keep my secret," Hedwig whispered to Blake. She did not know that my hearing was very good. I heard her words. Blake nodded. "Don't worry, I won't say anything to her." After he said this, I couldn't help but walk out. I walked up to them and asked, "What did you say? What secret? What happened to Hedwig at school today?" Blake frowned, picked Hedwig up, and walked directly to the parlor, pretending not to hear what I said. I was actually ignored by Blake. I was instantly a little annoyed. Why were they hiding from me? What exactly happened? Was Hedwig hurt? Was she bullied by others? I quickly turned around, and then I stretched out my hand to block Blake. "I won't let you in until you tell me." Blake frowned and said, "You threw wine on me this afternoon, and I let go. And now, stop asking why, okay?" "No, Hedwig is my daughter." "But you've never even been to her school. If you really care about what happens to her, shouldn't you ask yourself a question first? Are you a good mother? There was a bit of ridicule in Blake's tone. I was stunned. Hedwig shrank in Blake's arms, and her face was pale with fright. I'm going to take Hedwig out. You can stay home with Noah. Then Blake carried Hedwig and walked out. When I heard that he was going to take Hedwig away alone, I became even more curious and quickly blocked his way again. Blake, don't go anywhere until you explain it clearly to me. Where are you taking Hedwig? Is she hurt? She's not hurt, she's fine. After saying that, Blake bypassed me and walked toward the car. I was so curious. If Hedwig wasn't hurt, then what happened? Why were they hiding it from me? Was it because I had never taken the kids to school before? Was he getting back at me? I froze and was slightly shocked. I recalled these past few days, and I suddenly realized that I seemed to have been less attentive to my kids. I couldn't help but feel a little depressed and guilty. I returned to my room alone and cried in self-blame. Catherine, what's wrong? Eva felt my emotions. It woke up and asked me gently, Eva, I'm a bad mother. I don't know what is happening to Hedwig. Everyone is keeping me in the dark, I responded. I suddenly thought that if I had found my mate, I would never have been as isolated and helpless as I was now. He would take my side unconditionally. Eva probably sensed what I was thinking and said in a comforting tone, I miss our mate, too. I think you will find him, but you have to get your necklace back first. Gina won't give it back to me. I was a little depressed, but then I thought of something. Why did you want me to find the necklace first? What does it have to do with our mate? These are the instructions of Moon Goddess, Eva said. And then it stopped responding to me. Chapter 63. Catherine's POV. After I chatted with Eva for a while, I felt better. I couldn't just let it get to me. Since Blake wouldn't tell me the truth, I would find out about it on my own. At dinner, Noah and I were the only ones at the table. I questioned Noah sternly. I frowned more deeply when I saw Noah sighing. Usually, Noah could eat a plate of food. Yet today, he only had a little. Noah, what's wrong? I reached out and stroked his head. Noah glanced at me and sighed again. Where did Daddy take Hedwig? Were they out to eat something good? I realized that Noah wanted to go out to eat with Blake. Noah, if you tell me what happened to Hedwig at school today, I'll tell you what Daddy took her to eat. I learned to be smart enough to know that I should exchange conditions with Noah. Noah had been dejected just now. When he heard my words, he immediately sat up straight and shook his head firmly. Mommy, stop asking me. I really don't know. You little liar, are you lying to Mommy? Hedwig is your little sister, and you are desk mates. How can you not know what happened to her? I wanted to scold Noah sternly. Since when did he become so hard to crack? Noah lowered his head and said, I promised not to say anything. Mommy, you raised me to be a man of my word, and now I am. Fine, so be it. Where is your backpack? I put down my fork and quickly walked to the parlor. Noah was startled, and he jumped up. He followed me hastily. Mommy, why are you looking for it? We don't have homework today. I could already see their backpacks lying in the corner of the sofa. I quickly walked over, picked up one, and opened it. I found a notebook inside which recorded their daily life. The phone numbers of 2 teachers were on it. I took out my phone from my pocket and dialed. Soon, someone picked up the phone, and I heard a gentle female voice. I asked politely, Hello there, I am Hedwig's mommy. May I know what happened to Hedwig today? Oh, hi. Hedwig bit her classmate's finger today when she was fighting over a toy. Hedwig's father should have taken care of that already. After knowing what had happened, I appreciated the teacher, hung up the phone, turned around, and glared at Noah. Noah glanced at me guiltily and quickly lowered his head. Mommy, don't blame me. Daddy didn't allow me to tell you. And you're just going to listen to him like that? I really don't understand. Since when did Noah become so obedient to Blake? Noah pouted. It's not like that. I just wanted to protect Hedwig. If you know about this, you will scold her harshly. I froze. Why would I scold her? In the past, when she bit others, you would scold her. Noah immediately said what I did before. I sighed. I'm sorry, I was a little harsh with you guys. But you shouldn't keep me in the dark. If you bite someone, you should apologize. After Hedwig comes back, Mommy, you can talk to her nicely, but don't scold her. Stupid Hedwig is so timid, she would cry ceaselessly, Noah begged. I was well aware of Hedwig's personality. She was both stubborn and fragile. Okay, I will talk to your daddy about this. But you have to promise me that from now on, you will tell me everything that happens at school, okay? I will get worried if you don't. I stroked Noah's face and said to him patiently. Noah nodded, indicating that he had remembered my words. Go and finish your meal. Don't waste food. I pushed him to the dining room. In fact, I realized something because of what Blake had said before he left. If I didn't participate in my kids' school life, I would lose the right to speak. I was also responsible for what had happened. Noah was worried that Hedwig would be scolded, so he refused to tell me. It meant that he was a good brother and had a sense of responsibility, and he gradually realized that he should protect his sister. It was a sign of him growing up. I would only feel gratified instead of scolding him and being angry at him. At around 9 p.m., I went back to my room to do my work. Suddenly, I heard the sound of a car, so I put down the drawing brush and walked out of the bedroom quickly. Going downstairs, I saw Blake walking in with Hedwig in his arms. Hedwig had fallen asleep already. I know what happened to Hedwig at school. Why didn't you tell me? I was still a little angry, yet I didn't know why. I just felt that both my kids had taken Blake's side, which upset me a lot. Blake looked down at Hedwig, who was sleeping soundly. Put her on the bed first. Let's talk alone. Hand her over to me. I came over to take Hedwig. Blake gently placed Hedwig into my arms. I hugged Hedwig tightly and heard her mutter unhappily, Daddy. Blake looked at me, and I looked at Hedwig. Her unconscious mutter made me feel even more depressed. You should treat Hedwig better. Don't be so harsh to her when she makes a mistake. We raise kids differently, but that doesn't mean you get to tell me what to do. I interrupted him and quickly carried Hedwig upstairs. I carefully put Hedwig on the bed. She turned over and fell asleep on the other side immediately. I looked at Hedwig's delicate body and sighed. After tucking her in, I turned and went out of the door. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Blake lazily leaning against the wall on the side. His tall figure made the corridor seem a little crowded. I turned around and walked to the balcony next to the room, and he followed. As soon as I reached the balcony, I turned around and said to him, I admit that you are a good father, and I have seen how much you love them. The other day, I went a bit too far. I blew up at you because I was scared. Now I have made up my mind. Let's get along and take care of our kids equally. After I finished, Blake's eyes instantly darkened, and he stared at me without blinking. Have you thought it through? Does that mean you have accepted me? His thin lips curled up slightly, and a hint of joy flashed across his eyes. Chapter 64. Catherine's POV. I looked back and frowned. Don't get me wrong, I only agreed to raise the kids together with you. I didn't mean anything else. So, will you try to get along with me? Asked Blake. I straightened my long hair, turned my head, stared at the scenery in the distance, and said indifferently, I won't make things difficult for you anymore. As long as you behave yourself, we can live peacefully. What do you mean by behaving myself? Can you be more specific? His lips rose, and he couldn't help but take a few steps closer to me. I turned around and looked at him with vigilance. You can't go over anything that the kids are not involved in. Last time, it was out of line. I wanted to say that he kissed me last time, but I just could not say those words bluntly. It was so embarrassing. Last time? What do you mean? Blake pretended he didn't understand and looked curious. I felt that I was blushing. I held back my shyness and gritted my teeth. I mean, when you suddenly kissed me. I hope you won't do it again. Blake's eyes dimmed and his tone became indifferent. Rest assured, I wouldn't have done that to you if you hadn't punched and kicked me that day. Are you letting me take the fall? You started it. How would I have hit you if you hadn't trapped me at the railing and been so narcissistic? I always felt that I was the victim that day. Blake stared at me for a few seconds and sneered. Well, maybe I was too conceited and thought that all women would be interested in me. Since I met you, I found that I was not as adorable as I presumed. And try not to show up in my office in the future. I think that as the boss of the company, you can make these decisions, right? I suffered a lot in my office today. Everyone thought that I had taken the initiative to throw myself at him. I seemed like a scheming woman. I felt so wronged. Blake's face darkened even more. Fine, you have my word. I will try not to show up in your office. As for sending the kids to school, if I have time, I will pick them up in the afternoon. I lowered my head and thought for a while. My tone was no longer that cold. Why the sudden change? Is it because of what I said to you today? Blake chuckled. I looked up at his smile and my heart beat faster. You are right. The kids are too young for me to leave them alone. Though I think you can take good care of them. I am their mother after all. My care and love for them are also essential, I said calmly. Blake didn't speak. He looked at me quietly. When I looked up, I met his deep eyes. I was a little embarrassed. What are you looking at? Nothing. After meeting my eyes, Blake immediately looked away and said lightly, Relax. I am always picky when it comes to women. You're not my type. You don't have to worry that I will lay my hands on you. Perhaps it won't be long before you fall for me. If so, I won't. You can rest assured. Your face is almost identical to Noah's. I've long been used to it, I told him firmly. Blake froze and stared at me in disbelief. I saw disbelief on Blake's face and thought of how obsessed the female werewolves in the company were with him. Let me be blunt with you. Actually, I had a crush on someone once, and I still have feelings for him. So, even if I can't find my mate, I still won't consider you. To convince him that I wouldn't fall for him, I simply dragged Harley into this. However, I didn't expect that when he heard that I still had feelings for another man. His face completely darkened. Why? Wasn't he worried that I might be coveting him? The guy you had dinner with the other day? He was your first love? Blake's voice was cold. I nodded. Yes. Don't tell me that. You gave your virginity to him, too. Blake had a gloomy face. I didn't see it coming at all. How embarrassing. My face burned even more. I said shyly and angrily, What the hell are you talking about? If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be living such a life now. What kind of life are you living now? Are you not satisfied? Blake raised his eyebrows. I was stunned and didn't want to reply to him at all. You have 2 lovely kids now, and they make you happier than anything, right? Blake answered for me. I could not refute it. He was right. I'm done talking to you. I still have work to do. I had said everything I needed to say, and talking to him more would just be wasting my time. When Blake saw me turn around, somehow, he reached out and grabbed my arm. I want you to promise me that you won't take the kids to see your first love. I looked at the large palm that was grabbing my arm tightly. I almost felt that his palm was burning. The temperature infiltrated my clothes, and I could feel the heat directly, making me uncomfortable. Don't worry, I don't want others to know about the kids either. Let go of me. I waved my hand in frustration and shook his large palm off. Blake's good-looking eyebrows were twisted. I hurriedly fled back to my room. When I sat on my bed, I found that my heart was beating very fast, and I could still feel Blake's warm body temperature on my arm. Catherine, your heart is beating fast. Eva's voice suddenly sounded in my mind, startling me. I said embarrassedly, I know. Why did you suddenly appear? Your heart is beating so fast that I can't rest. It sounded like Eva was teasing me, which was very rare. Why don't you try accepting that man? What are you talking about? He isn't our mate, I replied, a little annoyed. I feel that he makes me feel safe and familiar. Eva's voice became somewhat ethereal, as if it were thinking about something. Aren't you feeling this way because he is the Lichen King? I curled my lips. Blake was the Lichen King of New Jersey, and therefore any werewolf would feel safe with him. Anyway, I want you to spend more time with him so that I can find some answers, Eva said in the end. Eva's words echoed in my mind, and I didn't know what to say for a moment. I didn't want to stay together with Blake all the time. Chapter 65. Catherine's POV. The next morning, I dragged Hedwig downstairs. She was still half asleep. Yesterday, Hedwig slept for a while, and then she woke up at about 12 a.m. After I helped her take a bath, she refused to sleep anymore. She kept bouncing on the bed until it was past 2 a.m., and then she continued to sleep. I kept accompanying Hedwig, so I did not sleep well. I was so sleepy right now. Noah sat at the dining table, and he made his hair exactly like Blake's. Though I disliked it, I did not mess up his hairstyle. Since Noah wanted to imitate Blake, I wouldn't stand in his way. "Mommy, are you going to take us to school later?" Last night I lectured Hedwig, and then promised to squeeze some time to send her and Noah to school in the future. Therefore, she started to pester me, though it was still early in the morning. I was in a dilemma, because I still had a regular meeting in the morning. I didn't want to give others an excuse to point fingers at me because of my absence. Suddenly, a low and magnetic male voice rang before I could speak. "Hedwig, Daddy is on the way. Daddy will take you to school. Mommy will be busy in the morning." I was stunned, and I glanced at the man sitting next to Noah. Yet he still had his head down. He was spreading sauce on Noah's bread, and he didn't look up at me. "Okay, Daddy is going to take me to school. I'm happy enough," Hedwig said with a smile. She looked so cute. "It's fine. Daddy loves to take you two to school." Blake looked up and smiled at me friendly. I panicked and immediately lowered my head. I quickly took a sip of milk. I thought, what's going on with him? Why is he acting so weird today? "Hedwig told me that you took her out yesterday to apologize to that kid." I was surprised. As the Lycan King, you would actually apologize to someone else. When Hedwig told me, I was indeed a little shocked. I seemed to have a new understanding of Blake. It's my way of educating Hedwig. Parents are the best example for their kids. In other words, kids will become the same people as their parents. If I acted arrogantly, Hedwig would be overbearing and unreasonable in the future, Blake said slowly. But his words made a lot of sense, which left me speechless. "You're right. You have set a good example for Hedwig. Keep up with the good work." I simpered. Blake raised his thin lips and said, "Of course, I have always been setting the best example for the kids." I smiled and said nothing. He was being narcissistic again. After breakfast, I gave both the kids a gentle kiss on the head and watched them go. Then I drove to the company and bumped into Melinda downstairs. Melinda looked at my car in surprise. "Good morning, Melinda." I was a little embarrassed and hurried to greet her. Melinda walked around my car and asked, "Catherine, did you buy this car yourself?" "No, someone lent it to me." I shook my head. How could I afford such a nice car? "A guy, right?" Melinda smiled as if she had got something interesting. It was past 10 a.m. at noon. I was busy working when suddenly Melinda stormed in and walked directly towards me. "Catherine, come with me to the office. Hurry up, it's urgent." I dropped my work and quickly followed Melinda into the office. I asked curiously, "Melinda, what happened?" "We have a big client who names you as the one he wants. Come with me quickly." As Melinda spoke, she also took a few files. I was very curious. I blinked my eyes and said, "Melinda, what kind of big client is he? Why would he nominate me? I'm just a green hand." "Beats me. The higher-ups didn't say anything. They only said that the other party wanted to meet with you. Let's go and see." Melinda didn't know who the client was either. I tensed up. Could it be Blake again? Didn't he have important things to do? Shouldn't he be busy managing such a large company? Not to mention all the Packs and the royal family in New Jersey. I hurriedly followed Melinda to the door of the reception room. Guy Tenney, the director of the design department, came out with an anxious face. "Melinda, don't go in there. The client just wants to meet Catherine alone." "Mr. Tenney, Who is the client? Catherine is just a newcomer, Melinda asked worriedly. Guy laughed at her words. How is that possible? Catherine, don't just stand there. Hurry up and go in. Don't make the client wait too long. I glanced nervously at Melinda. She hinted at me with her eyes. I took a deep breath and entered the reception room quickly. As soon as I entered, I hurriedly looked around. Suddenly, I saw a slender figure in sportswear, leaning on the sofa casually. When he saw me come in, he raised his head. You are Leo? When I met his golden eyes, I was shocked. I found it hard to believe. The mysterious person Merlin was talking about turned out to be Leo. The superstar, who was popular all over the country, was now sitting on the sofa in front of me, exuding an elegant aura. You are Catherine. Leo raised his eyebrows in surprise. What can I do for you? I calmed down quickly. If my memory served me right, Leo was Blake's younger brother. When Blake found me, he actually suspected that Leo was Noah and Hedwig's father, and he questioned me cruelly. At that time, I panicked into thinking that the man I had sex with 5 years ago really was Leo, the A-list star. Lee stared at me and sized me up a few more times. He frowned. Nothing important. I just want to cooperate with you. Cooperate? You and me? I was even more surprised when I heard his words. At the same time, I could feel that Leo wasn't as arrogant as Blake. Leo was very easygoing, but he was also somewhat indifferent. It made sense. After all, he was also a werewolf from the royal family. People like him, more or less, came with a sense of distance. Leo stared at my face for a while, and then he took out a photo from his pocket. I believe they are your kids. I glanced at the photo and was a little surprised. The people in the photo were Noah and Hedwig, and the background was Blackthorn-Pack's land. At that time, I brought Noah and Hedwig to join the Blackthorn-Pack. I didn't expect that they would secretly take photos of Noah and Hedwig. I immediately looked up at Leo. What are you doing with my kids' photo? Don't worry, I have no intention of hurting them, said Leo with a smile. I saw his signature smile. I had seen it in various movies, TV shows, and advertising posters. It was definitely a charming smile that would make all women scream. But right now, his smile terrified me. Then what the hell are you up to? I was even more panicked. Chapter 66. Catherine's POV. Leo's eyes swiveled. Then he seemed to have thought of something and asked, Does the kid's father look like me? I was stunned. Then I almost wanted to laugh out loud, but I had to resist. Yeah, their father was your brother. Of course he looked like you. But I didn't want Leo to know who the kid's father was right now. I just wanted to send Leo away quickly. Why do you ask? I calmed down a little. Actually, I had come to realize that Leo would not be able to do anything to my kids. They were under Blake's protection, and there was nothing Leo could do. You know who I am. I am the younger brother of the Lycan King, and I am also a star. Do you have any idea what impact this photo will have on me? Speaking of this, Leo pulled a long face. I was stunned for a second, and then I said apologetically, I'm sorry about that, but I did not know that they would take pictures of my kids. It was not my intention. Leo sneered. I thought you were trying to attract my attention and make the 2 kids famous by using me. I've never done that, and I don't want my kids to be famous, I explained in a hurry, afraid that I would be horribly mistaken. Leo smiled. Fine, I'll let you pass. But I want to give you a chance today, a perfect chance to make your kids famous. Let them sign a contract with my company, and I will turn them into child stars. What? I asked in disbelief. Leo continued to smile. I know you'll be surprised to hear me say this. Are you excited? Are you being caught off guard by happiness? Don't worry. I promise that the 2 kids will have a very bright future. And you don't need to work hard anymore. You just need to sit at home and wait for the money to come to you. Because you are very lucky. You gave birth to 2 beautiful kids, and I am the talent scout here. I found them and was willing to give them a chance. Stop. Say no more. I will not let my children be stars at such a young age. This line of work doesn't work for them, and I won't agree either. Thanks for the generous offer, I interrupted him, and refused him firmly. This time, it was Leo who was dumbfounded. He could not believe that I rejected him just like that. Are you sure? It's a rare opportunity. I won't just choose any random kids, Leo said, as if it was indeed a fabulous opportunity. I thought, if Blake heard what you said, he'd probably punch you in the face. But I wouldn't mention Blake's name, because I didn't want to raise discussion in the company. I'm sure, I answered calmly. You are the stupidest woman I have ever met. Leo was angry. I was stunned for a second, and then my tone became sarcastic. You swore just because I didn't say yes to your proposal? Indeed, anyone can be a big star nowadays. I had a very good impression of Leo at first. Unexpectedly, as soon as I turned him down, he called me stupid. Do you know the consequences of offending me? Leo's face instantly became sullen, and there was a dangerous look in his eyes. No, but I'm not scared. I crossed my arms in front of my chest, not compromising at all. Leo stared at me with his eyes wide open. Do you believe that I will make you jobless? Leo narrowed his eyes and threatened. I was stunned. Then I couldn't help but lower my head and laugh. I laughed because I thought his words were funny, but maybe Leo thought I was laughing at his incompetence. What are you laughing at? Asked Leo with a frown. I quickly regained my serious look and said lightly, I was just amused by your words. You said that you would make me jobless? Sure. Why don't you go ahead and try? I glanced at him and lowered my head to laugh again. Seeing that I was still laughing, Leo was so furious that his handsome face turned red. He immediately turned and opened the door. Guy, get your ass in here. Guy was the person in charge of the entire design department of the Chavez Group. When he heard Leo's roar, he hurriedly ran over. Mr. Chavez, what can I do for you? Guy knew who Leo was. Leo turned around and stared at me. He said angrily, Fire her, now! What? Guy didn't see this coming at all. Guy stared at me and questioned me angrily. Catherine, what did you do? How dare you offend Mr. Chavez? Guy didn't know my relationship with Blake. He supposed that I had snubbed Leo and roared at me at once. I said casually, I didn't offend him, I just turned down his proposal. If he wants to fire me just because of this, well, I find that unfair to me. Unfair to you? Do you know who he is? He is the prince of the royal family, the younger brother of Lycan King. Guy wasn't satisfied with my attitude. Melinda rushed over. Mr. Tenney, what's wrong? What happened? Guy said angrily. Melinda, you are her boss. Now she has offended the royal family. How do you propose to settle this? Melinda looked up and saw Leo. She was shocked. Then she heard what Guy said. She quickly walked over and grabbed my hand. Catherine, how did you offend Leo? I was indeed amused by Leo. All I did was turn him down and refuse to let my kids become stars, and so far as he was concerned, I offended him. Was he unreasonable, or what? Melinda, I didn't offend him. I just didn't agree to his request. I suddenly felt a bit guilty, because if I came clean, Melinda would know that I had kids. Also, I was afraid that Leo would mention the kids again. In a panic, I immediately said, Mr. Tenney, I'll make it easier for you. I'll resign now. Anyway, I would just be gone for half a day. I would be back tomorrow. There were certain things that couldn't be said here, in front of so many people. I had to get Blake to take care of this. Melinda did not expect that I would resign voluntarily. She hurriedly said, Catherine, there's no need for that. Just apologize to Leo. Work is no joke. Don't worry, Melinda, I'll be fine. After that, I was about to leave. Chapter 67, Catherine's POV. Leo probably did not expect that I would resign directly. He shouted, Stop right there! I turned my head and looked at him in confusion, not knowing what else he wanted to say. What kind of attitude is that? Leo looked at Guy and said unhappily. Guy bowed and comforted Leo. Mr. Chavez, don't be angry. She just joined the company. She doesn't know the rules yet. Leo's face was full of irritation. He turned his gaze to me and then stared into my eyes, his expression turning solemn. I could feel the aura changing. It was intimidating, which was a familiar feeling. I tilted my head and saw that Guy and Melinda's foreheads had already started to sweat. They bowed their heads as if under some huge pressure. "Go back to your seat and sit down." Leo's voice carried a holy sense of solemnity. I knew that it was the aura of the royal family. He was trying to make me yield through the lichen aura coming from the royal family's werewolf bloodline. I felt controlled by this power. My body was stiff at first, and then I was about to step uncontrollably towards my seat. Right now, my body was fighting against this power. Ava suddenly woke up at this time. I was stunned at first, and then I felt that my body filled with energy. The pressure Leo exerted on me could no longer control my body. I regained control of my body. "I feel pressure," said Eva in my mind. "I can't do anything." I sighed in my heart and responded to Eva. As an ordinary werewolf, I couldn't resist Leo's suppression, even though he was not the Lichen King. "I don't think he can intimidate us." Eva sounded relaxed, which made me feel a bit strange. I secretly glanced at Guy and Melinda, who were still lowering their heads. Though I could not see their expressions clearly, I could tell by their trembling bodies that they were under great pressure. "He is way out of line." Leo used the bloodline aura so casually, which made me dissatisfied. "Stop!" Eva suddenly shouted in my mind. I was frightened by its voice, and then I felt the aura around me disappear. Leo looked surprised, and he pulled a long face. I didn't know what had happened, but it was obvious that he had stopped his suppression. Could he hear Eva's voice? I quickly denied the possibility. I glanced at Leo, and then turned around and left the meeting room. Melinda caught up with me. "Catherine, wait!" "What's wrong? Mr. Tenney hasn't even said he's going to fire you." "Don't worry, Melinda. I'll come back again," I said with a smile. "Catherine, you are too impetuous." "Melinda, wait for me to come back tomorrow. Now don't stop me. Let me leave." I could see that Melinda was nice to me genuinely. I decided to pick a time tomorrow to tell Melinda all about me. I didn't pack up the things on my desk. I just picked up my purse and left. After leaving the company, I went to the mall to buy some things and then went to Mabel. Mabel opened the door and was very happy to see me. When she saw me carrying so many things, she immediately scolded, "Catherine, come on! What are these for?" "Mabel, it's just some fruit. I've been busy with work these days and haven't come to see you." I put down the things and smiled. Mabel brought me a cup of coffee. "Catherine, I was about to ask, how are you at Lichen Kings? How is the father of the kids treating you?" "I'm all right, Mabel. You know well that I'm just doing this for the kids. I don't care how he treats me." I lowered my head and took a sip of coffee, yet I still felt a bit bitter. Mabel sighed and said, "Catherine, we are ordinary werewolves. We are in two separate worlds from the Lichen King, who comes from the royal family. But now that you've given him 2 children, maybe you two... is there any chance he'll make you his mate?" After hearing this, I was stunned for a moment. Then I looked up at Mabel's concerned eyes and smiled bitterly. "Mabel, I have not thought about it. I've already been caught up with the kids and my work. As for Blake, I can feel that we are impossible. Even if he forcefully makes me his mate for the sake of the kids, I'm not qualified to be a Luna." I thought it through already. The moment Noah and Hedwig came to the world, I knew that I needed to choose my mate carefully, or for their sake, I could give up on finding my mate at all. Mabel could only sigh. "Fine, as long as you got it all figured out. But I still hope that you can find your mate who is willing to accept you and your kids, and you can live a happy life together after." I chuckled. "Don't worry about me, Mabel. I'm happy now. My children are my happiness." "Okay, Catherine, do you have any plans this afternoon? If not, let's go for a walk," Mabel immediately said. "Sure. I'm here to accompany you. I'll go to school to pick up the kids at 4:30. You should join me. I'll take them to your place for dinner tonight. I knew Noah and Hedwig wanted to see Mabel very much. They would ask about her before going to bed every night. Okay, I miss them so much. Mabel was happy in an instant. I spent the afternoon walking the streets with Mabel. It was about time, so we went to the werewolf school to pick up the kids. When I arrived outside the door, Dowan had already arrived. He came half an hour early almost every day. Catherine, what kind of school is this? It looks like a castle. I didn't even know there was such a place, Mabel exclaimed. Blake says it's a werewolf school for the royal family. Students here are children of people related to the royal family. I smiled. Noah and Hedwig are so lucky, Mabel said unfeignedly. I got out of the car and walked over to Dowan. Dowan was surprised to see me. Ms. Wyatt, you have time to pick up the kids today. Yes. You've been in charge of picking them up, which makes me feel bad. Why don't you let me pick up the kids today? I want to take them to Mabel's place for dinner tonight, I said gratefully. Dowan was stunned for a moment. Then he said with some difficulty, Ms. Wyatt, maybe you should ask King Blake before taking the kids away. I was also stunned. Then I frowned. I'm just taking the kids to dinner. I don't need his permission. Then can I tell King Blake about this? Dowan was still in a dilemma. I nodded. Sure. I wouldn't give Dowan a hard time. He could go ahead and tell Blake about me taking the kids away. Chapter 68. Catherine's POV. Dowan picked up his phone and dialed a number. He told Blake that I was going to take the kids to Mabel's place for dinner. In the next second, Blake asked him to hand over the phone to me. Ms. Wyatt, King Blake wants to talk to you. I took the phone and put it against my ear. What do you want to say? I don't think you should take them out. I'm afraid they'll be in danger, said Blake. Do you think you can trap them in the school and your place forever? I knew he was looking out for the kids. But if the price of being his kids was losing other kinds of happiness, I'd rather exclude him from Noah and Hedwig's lives. Hearing my words, Blake pondered for a few seconds. Then he said, Okay, you can take them away, but I'll have dinner together with them tonight. What? His condition surprised me. I immediately frowned. Do you not understand what I'm saying? I would go to Mabel's place for dinner as well. By the way, ask Dowan to send you there. I don't trust you to drive the kids. He hung up the phone after speaking. What an asshole! I was a bit angry. Enjoying some time together with my kids and Mabel was very rare. His presence would ruin the atmosphere totally. Ms. Wyatt, did King Blake hang up? Dowan was startled. I gave him the phone back, and I returned to normal. Dowan, please take us there later. Around 4:30, my two kids appeared at the school gate. Mommy! Hedwig saw me first and ran over excitedly. Noah grinned. Dowan, how come you and Mommy are both here? Hedwig threw herself into my arms and asked curiously. I kissed Hedwig's face and asked with a gentle smile. Hedwig, do you want to eat at Mabel's place tonight? Really? That's great! Hedwig's face was full of happiness. Let's go then. I put her down and turned to drive my car. Well, can you guys have dinner at my place tonight? Mabel came up and asked me. I asked him, and he said yes, but he wanted to join us. I thought of how justified he sounded, and I felt frustrated. What? King Blake is coming. Let's hurry back and make preparations. Mabel was very surprised. Mabel, no need to hurry. I stopped her quickly and took her into the car. Then I drove behind the motorcade. Around 6:30 in the evening, Noah and Hedwig were sitting in the living room, eating fruit, watching cartoons, and running around the sofa a few times. They were so happy, like two little fools. Then they suddenly heard the doorbell ring. Catherine, open the door, Mabel urged me. I walked over to the door. Sure enough, Blake was standing at the door in a suit. King Blake, please come in. Mabel had a trace of respect on her face. Daddy, you're here as well? Hedwig and Noah immediately jumped off the sofa. Blake politely said to Mabel, Hello. Hello. Mabel was both excited and nervous. Hedwig looked up and laughed happily. Daddy, I am so happy that you can come. I want nothing but our family to eat together. The word family made Blake smile. Yet I pretended not to hear. I didn't think Blake could be our family. After all, Leo just gave me a hard time at noon today. Daddy, come here! Sit here! Hedwig was much more enthusiastic than I was. She pulled Blake's big hand and dragged him to the sofa. Then she sat directly in his arms. Daddy, do you want some fruit? Blake pinched her face and said, Maybe later. I put a glass of water in front of Blake and said lightly, You can play with them. I'll help Mabel cook. Go ahead, said Blake in a low voice. I insisted on staying in the kitchen. Though Mabel chased me away several times, I just didn't want to go out. Anyway, I didn't want to see that man. To be more precise, I didn't like the feeling of being in the same room with him. It made me feel very uncomfortable. When we were together, everything became deadly quiet. It was so weird. Mabel, let me make the salad. I was quite confident in cooking. Mabel nodded and said, Okay, remember to cook the potatoes through. I finished making the potato salad and brought it to the table. As soon as I came out, I saw Blake and the children quietly sitting on the sofa watching TV. I was slightly lost in thought. Blake suddenly turned his head. His dark eyes happened to meet my gaze. When I came back to my senses, I found that Blake was staring at me strangely. I somehow blushed, and I hurriedly hid back in the kitchen. With Mabel at the helm, the dinner was finally ready. Mabel made a steak for Blake and roasted chicken with apples for the kids. There was also seafood chowder and soup. I made macaroni and cheese. And for dessert, Mabel prepared her famous blackberry cake. Hedwig and Noah were very happy to see the sumptuous dinner. King Blake, would you like some wine? I have a bottle of vintage wine here, Mabel said with a smile. He doesn't drink, Mabel. There's no need. I knew how precious the wine was, and I didn't want Mabel to waste it on Blake. Mabel, Catherine is right. I don't drink, Blake replied with a meaningful tone. I was putting macaroni on the kids' plates when I heard his words. I slowed down. Why did he keep calling me by my name? He was just acting in front of Mabel. Mommy, hurry up, I'm starving. Hedwig was staring at me. Seeing that I had stopped, she immediately complained. Okay, go ahead and eat. Don't waste it. Eat it all. I sat down beside Hedwig and said to them, It's good. A low and magnetic male voice rang out, making me tense. I took a look, and I saw that Blake had just taken a bite of the macaroni I made. Mommy, the macaroni is so salty, Noah suddenly shouted. Mabel hurriedly took a piece with her fork. She frowned while swallowing it. Catherine, it is a bit salty. I'll bring the plate in now. Okay. I felt like my voice was floating. Damn it, how come I put too much salt in it? Chapter 69. Gina's POV. After I went to Catherine yesterday, I returned home and did not go out. My assistant were calling me, but I didn't dare to pick up because I knew it was going to be bad news. I returned to the territory of Black Moon Pack and smashed everything in the room. But I was still furious. I slept in the empty living room all day and night. Finally, in the evening, the alpha of the Black Moon Pack went home together with his Luna, my mother. Gina, what the hell happened? What's wrong with you? My mother Elena had just finished her trip. She was horrified to see me curled up on the sofa in the messy living room. She hurriedly came up and asked me. I covered my face and cried. I said, Elena, that bitch Catherine told Blake about what happened 5 years ago, and now Blake is mad at me saying I lied to him. He has pulled me off all the endorsements. I don't know what he will do to me later. Elena, I am doomed. Elena was well aware of how important Blake was to me. She also knew Blake's influence on our status in Black Moon Pack. My words made her face pale with fright. Was it really Catherine, that big mouth, who turned you in? Elena was instantly enraged. Elena, she said it herself. She was just trying to get back at me. She was so vicious. She waited until I was successful, and then she retaliated against me, wanting me to fall hard. I was also very unwilling and angry. Elena's face was also pale and sullen. For a moment she was at a loss. She saw how dejected I was, and she was anxious. She did it because of that necklace. If I got it back— Never mind. Nothing can be changed now. It's too late. I should have taken this seriously. I was so regretful. If I had given Catherine the necklace and the money, she would have left New Jersey already. None of this would have happened. What necklace? Gina, can't you go beg Blake? After all, you've been with him for so long. He might be moved for old time's sake, right? Elena quickly made suggestions for me. When I heard her words, I froze. Then, I cried in despair and said, Elena, I lied. Nothing happened between me and Blake at all. Even though people say that I'm his like and Luna, in fact, all this time, he didn't even lay his hands on me. He never wanted to mark me. What? Elena was devastated. Blake never even touched you? That's impossible. You've been together for 5 years, and he never had feelings for you? But you said that you two had already— Elena refused to accept the fact. Elena, I only said that to comfort you, and I didn't want to embarrass myself too much. Many people were saying that Blake and I were together, and I wished that it was true. If something did happen between us, I would be able to go and reason with him righteously. But in fact, all he did was keep giving me resources to support me. People respected me only because of him. The more I thought about it, the sadder and more desperate I became. What should we do? Elena froze as well. She looked at me in panic. Then she comforted me. Gina, don't be sad. Even if you can't be a star, we still have a lot of money, right? No. I don't want to live a normal life. Mom, do you understand? I can't live without the feeling of being respected by other werewolves. I need to be supported by my fans. I still want to be a star. When I heard Elena's words, I was about to lose it. I shouted out my decision. Ever since I was a kid, I had wanted to be a star. Catherine somehow had sex with Blake 5 years ago, and I happened to fill in her shoes. My dream of becoming a star was suddenly realized. I lived a glorious life because of Catherine, and she was also the one who made me fall hard. I lost tens of millions worth of endorsements in one day, which made me utterly furious. While I was angry with Catherine, I thought of another trigger. Elizabeth, who took the necklace away. She was half to blame for everything that had happened. If she could bring the necklace back in time when I asked her for it, Catherine wouldn't have been so angry. Catherine wouldn't have told Blake the truth, and I wouldn't have been blacklisted because of lying to Blake. I just couldn't let it go. I decided to get even with Elizabeth. I knew where Elizabeth's pack landed. I asked Elena to find several strong male werewolves in our pack and let them follow me to Elizabeth's place. I was the daughter of the Black Moon Pack's alpha, and I had been to Sunset Pack before, so we were let through pretty easily. One way or another, I would get the necklace back tonight. Even if I didn't return it to Catherine, I would smash it in front of her. I was going to break Catherine's heart. I thought, if you dare to cross me, you should prepare yourself for the consequences. Are you home, Lisa? I have a few bags for you. Didn't you say you liked my bags very much last time? I brought them here for you today. I tempted her so that she could open the door. Elizabeth loved taking petty advantage of others. She had accepted clothes, bags, and shoes from me before. I bought countless clothes and shoes every year. Sometimes they were simply too many, and I would send some of them to my friends kindly. It was also a way for me to maintain my connections. Gina! Elizabeth took the bait. She bought my words, so she opened the door with a face full of joy. However, the moment she opened the door, she was dumbfounded. I didn't come alone. There were about 7 strong, tall men standing behind me. Elizabeth was so scared that she wanted to close the door, but it was too late. I pushed the door open and shouted angrily, "Elizabeth, you greedy bitch! Do you know that you almost got me killed? Give the necklace back to me now. Otherwise, believe it or not, I will smash your place." When Elizabeth heard me mention the necklace, she was even more frightened, but she still did not want to give it back to me. Gina, listen to me. I have no idea where it is. Even if you smash my home, it won't change anything. I just can't find it. Chapter 70. Gina's POV. Really? You can't find it? Fine. Then I will tear this place apart and see if you're telling the truth. I was so furious right now. If I couldn't vent my anger, I would snap. Gina, let's talk. Don't smash anything, okay? I may have left the necklace at my parents' place. Can I go there to take a look? Elizabeth tried to stall. Of course, I wouldn't allow her to do that. If Elizabeth went to find her parents, Sunset Pack's Alpha would be spooked. If they sent the guards of the pack over, things would be tricky for me. What was more, Elizabeth clearly underestimated my anger by saying so. Now it wasn't just about finding the necklace anymore. The most important thing was that I was pissed off, and I needed to get it out on someone. Elizabeth ruined my life. On no ground would I let her off the hook easily. Smash the place, and find me the necklace as well. I'll give $1 million to anyone who finds it. I sat down on the sofa next to me and ordered. The men heard that there was a reward, and it was $1 million. Instantly, all of them were so excited. They began to smash everything and turn everything upside down to look for the necklace. Stop it! Please, just stop! Gina, please! Tell them to stop! I'll give the necklace back to you, please! I know I was wrong. I will tell you a big secret as well. It's about the necklace. Just tell them to stop now. Seeing that her carefully furnished home was about to be destroyed, Elizabeth gave up at once. I raised my hand when I heard her. Stop! I'd like to hear what she has to say. Seeing that there were so many people present, Elizabeth was still a bit scared. She said to me, "Tell them to get out first, and I'll get you the necklace. Don't worry, I won't lie to you this time. Trust me." I knew Elizabeth didn't have the guts to lie to me now. Therefore, I waved my hand and let the men out. All right, they are gone now. You can tell me where the necklace is and that secret of yours now. Elizabeth turned around and entered her bedroom. In a moment, she came out with the necklace and a few photos. Gina, to tell you the truth, I didn't want to give the necklace back to you because I found some secrets about it. But since you are going to smash my home, you leave me no choice. I have to give it back to you. Please don't be mad. After all, I found such a big secret for you. Elizabeth was terrified. She wanted to make up for it. I snatched the necklace back. Cut the crap and return it to me. Do you want my forgiveness? Do you have any idea how much money you've caused me to lose? Even your life won't be enough to repay me. It's not like that, Gina. Take a good look at these photos. Elena was so scared that her face turned pale. She quickly handed the photos to me. Look, is the necklace in your hand similar to the necklace placed in the glass window? I'm telling you, they are a pair. You said that the obsidian necklace was yours, did you? After I heard what she said, I grabbed the photos and quickly flipped through them. Then, I stared at the necklace in my hand and narrowed my eyes to compare. They are indeed very similar. Did you just say they were a pair? How did you know? Elizabeth hurriedly said, Do you remember the last time we took the necklace to the witch of my pack? She noticed that the necklace wasn't that simple, so she went to look for some information about it. She found something later, and she came to me. She said that the necklace came from the royal family. When I heard the words royal, my heart skipped a beat. I looked at Elizabeth in surprise and urged, Keep going. Elizabeth nodded and said, The witch of our pack once went to the royal family to learn divination and visited the royal treasury. She said that there was an identical necklace in the treasury. These are the pictures of the obsidian necklace she took. Elizabeth stole a glance at me and then continued, A senior member of the royal family deposited the necklace in the royal treasury. It is said that this royal senior had a grandson and granddaughter who were twins. He gave the 2 necklaces to his 2 grandchildren, and later, the boy passed away because he was sick. Then he stored the necklace in the treasury. Maybe because he couldn't bear to see it every day. And it was said that later, when his granddaughter went out one day, she lost hers too. Gina, if this necklace is yours, you might be the granddaughter of that higher up. In this way, you don't have to be a star anymore. You don't have to work so hard, actually. You can just find him and inherit his estate. You won't just be the daughter of some Pax Alpha. Elizabeth sounded like she was fawning. I looked at Elizabeth in surprise. Really? Yes. Why would I lie to you? To be honest, I was reluctant to return the necklace to you because of the witch's words. I shouldn't have had that thought. Even if I keep it, it would be useless, because I am not the owner. Gina, you are the one who belongs to the royal family. Elizabeth was afraid that I would not believe her, so she hurried to explain more. But I didn't look happy. Instead, I frowned. Gina, are you still not willing to forgive me? I know I made a mistake. Please spare me, okay? After all, I dug up such a huge secret for you. Elizabeth begged me because she was so scared. I snorted and said, "All right, I'll forgive you this time. But remember, don't offend me again next time. Do you understand? Also, forget about everything you just said. Don't tell anyone else. Get it?" I was afraid that Elizabeth would blabber, and Catherine would know. If what Elizabeth said was true, and the necklace belonged to the granddaughter of that higher-up of the royal family, then Catherine was probably the chosen one. I frowned and suddenly felt extremely vexed. I had to go home and ask Elena whether Catherine was my father's biological daughter. I remembered clearly. The last time Dad got drunk, he said that Catherine wasn't his daughter. At that time, I thought it was just alcohol talking. I even mocked Catherine with this. Now that I thought about it, what if what Dad said was true? If she was, then the necklace didn't belong to her. But if she wasn't? Chapter 71. Catherine's POV. After dinner at Mabel's place, Noah and Hedwig were already sleepy. "Daddy!" Hedwig immediately crawled into Blake's arms, wanting to sleep. Noah was also a little sleepy and somewhat tired. After I said goodbye to Mabel, Blake and I left Mabel's place with Hedwig and Noah in our arms. "You take the kids home, I'll drive myself." When we reached the door of Mabel's place, I decided not to go with Blake. Blake did not insist. "Okay, drive safely." His sudden concern surprised me. I didn't say anything. I simply nodded and handed Noah over to him. After I got into the car, I didn't start the car immediately. I sat in the car and was in a daze for a while. I had to admit that Blake was becoming better. He wasn't as aggressive as before. Also, his indifferent and hostile demeanors that I hated were gone. I found it easier to communicate with him, and just now he showed his concerns about me. Why the change? His behavior confused me. I decided to forget about it. Anyway, I wouldn't change my idea of him, no matter how surprising he could be. I wouldn't throw myself at him for the sake of the kids. By the time I drove back to the villa, Blake had already put Hedwig to bed. I quickly returned to my bedroom to take a bath. Then, when I sat on the sofa to have a rest, Blake also came out with Noah, who had finished bathing. I was planning to talk to Blake about what Leo did today. "Noah, go upstairs. It's time to sleep. I have something to talk to your daddy," I said to Noah. Blake was wearing a gray nightgown, and his short hair was still dripping. He took a towel and wiped his hair. Hearing me speak, he immediately walked over. Noah was sensible, and he ran upstairs at once. He was swift, and he disappeared in an instant. "What is it?" asked Blake. I looked indifferent, but there was a hint of annoyance in my voice. "Your brother Leo came to see me in the company at noon." "What? Why?" Blake's expression changed instantly. He frowned. I sneered. "He wants Noah and Hedwig to sign with his company. He wants to make them famous." "What?" The corner of Blake's mouth twitched. Clearly, he also thought that Leo was outrageous. I knew that Blake would be surprised. I said indifferently, "I turned him down, and he seemed annoyed. He asked my superior to be there right away, and I was fired." Blake froze again. Then he asked, "He had you fired, and then you just came back like this?" "Of course. What else can I do? I can't make a scene and have a big fight with him in the company, can I? If so, everyone will know that I have 2 kids. I don't want that. They still think I'm single," I replied, pouting. Upon hearing my words, Blake immediately sneered. "Are you worried that the male werewolves will lose interest in you if they find out that you have kids? Don't tell me you think one of them might be your mate." I felt a little angry at his sarcasm. "That's right. I don't want others to know that I have kids. Do you think being a single mother is something I want to brag about? Do you know the ridicule I got after I gave birth? I don't want that kind of life ever again. Besides, who says I can't find my mate with the 2 kids I have? You are still looking for your like in Luna, aren't you? Blake was choked by my words. He couldn't say a word. Rest assured. I'll talk to Leo tomorrow morning. I promise. He'll never bother you again, Blake promised, as if to comfort me. Hearing this, I became less angry. But I still felt frustrated. I still want to go back to work. Sure, you can go back tomorrow. I promise no one will ever do anything to you again. Blake nodded. I turned to look at him, and then stood up. Thank you. I got my job back. Problem solved. At the thought of this, I was in a better mood. Yet I could not sleep after I returned to my room. Hedwig was lying next to me. I noticed that she wasn't sleeping soundly. I reached out, wanting to hold her. As soon as I touched her body, I found that her body was burning. Based on my years of experience, she had a fever. I quickly turned on the light and looked at her face. Indeed, it was red. My sleepiness vanished at once. I hurriedly got out of bed, left my room, and opened the door of the next room. The room was dark. I reached out to push Blake's arm. As soon as I touched his arm, he caught my wrist hard. I couldn't help but cry out in pain. Then the pain in my wrist lessened. In the darkness, I heard his low voice. What do you want? Hedwig is having a fever. I was still pressing on my wrist. For a moment, I felt that my bones would be crushed. My wrist still hurts. Hearing that Hedwig was sick, Blake sat up in bed at once. Sorry, does it still hurt? Blake suddenly lowered his voice and asked me. I glared at him and walked out the door. What the hell? All I did was give him a gentle push, and he looked like he was about to kill me. Blake followed me quickly and grabbed my wrist. He said, apply some ointment later. I didn't mean it. I quickly withdrew my hand from his large palm. It's fine. I'm not that fragile. Hedwig needs us now. I wasn't pretending to be brave. Werewolves were far more resilient than humans. Even if we were seriously injured, we could still recover. But Hedwig was still young, and she hadn't had her wolf yet. In a short while, Blake came over with a thermometer. He took Hedwig's temperature, which was already 101 degrees. Why did she suddenly have a fever? Hedwig's body was burning. She blushed and breathed heavily. Seeing that, Blake was utterly anxious. She may have caught a cold. We must take her to the hospital now. I was anxious as well. There's some medicine in the first aid kit. Can she take it? Blake also knew that we needed to get her temperature down first. No, she needs a professional doctor, I said. Then I'll call the doctor of the royal family. I'll let him come over now and take a look, said Blake. Then he was about to mindlink. Wait, we should just take Hedwig to the hospital. It'll take time for him to get here. Though the doctor worked for the royal family, I still didn't want to trouble him. After all, it was already late. Blake had no objections. Go and change your clothes. We'll go right away. I quickly went to the bathroom and changed. Blake also quickly changed into a casual outfit. We held Hedwig, who was burning. Dowan was awakened and suggested that he should drive. Blake nodded. Chapter 72. Catherine's POV. At Blake's insistence, we went to the best hospital in Sayreville, though it was relatively far from the lakeside villa. After the doctor examined Hedwig, we gave her something to reduce her fever. Soon Hedwig started to sweat, and she was no longer burning. The doctor said that Hedwig's fever was because of her inflamed throat. The doctor prescribed some medicine and told us to go back to see how things went. If Hedwig did get better, we had to come back tomorrow for further treatment. On the way back, I was a little tired. Hedwig was in Blake's arms, and I leaned against the back seat with my eyes closed. Maybe I was too sleepy. I just wanted to take a nap, yet I fell asleep. I slept soundly and did not realize that I was leaning against Blake's shoulder. The car drove back to the villa. It was already past 4 in the morning. I woke up and suddenly found my head resting on something warm. I froze. Then I looked up and saw Blake's tired eyes. I quickly sat up straight from his embrace, my face burning. Go back and get some sleep. He sounded fatigued, which was rare. I followed Blake silently and went to my room. As Hedwig's fever subsided, she slept restfully. Blake looked at her sleeping face. Then he turned and saw how sleepy I was. He said, "Take a day off tomorrow and go to work the day after tomorrow. Hedwig should stay at home tomorrow too." "Okay," I nodded. I couldn't work with Hedwig sick anyway. "Do you need me to sleep here?" asked Blake. His words woke me up. Instantly, I wasn't drowsy anymore. I immediately shook my head and said, "No, you should go back to your room." "Fine. If anything happened, be sure to let me know at once." He sounded disappointed. "I will, but I hope you won't hurt my hand again." The pain in my wrist was still lingering. "I won't, and you should call out to me instead of touching my body all of a sudden," said Blake. I froze. For some reason, I blushed again. "All right. I won't touch you." Blake suddenly let out a meaningful laugh. I looked at him in confusion. "Don't you think we're touching on an intimate topic now?" Blake said lightly. I thought about our conversation, and my heart beat faster. "Get out! I'm going to sleep." I was a bit pissed off. He diverted my attention before I could realize it. Blake turned around and walked to the door. When he opened the door, he suddenly turned around and said in a hoarse voice, "To be honest, I don't hate the way you touched me." "Don't be so cheeky." I was furious. Why couldn't he just let me off the hook? I was embarrassed enough. Blake's smirk came from outside the door. I was so ashamed that I wanted to vanish at once. I didn't want to touch him at all. What a narcissist. I slept soundly in the car back then. Now that I was in bed, suddenly, I couldn't sleep at all. It was strange and depressing. I leaned over and pulled the quilt gently over Hedwig's body. When I couldn't go to sleep, I started to think. I thought of what he said just now and inexplicably felt my face heat up. Was he implying something? What a jerk. Why did he make such a joke? I made up my mind. If he said things like that again, I wouldn't talk to him. When I woke up the next day, it was past 10 a.m. I sat up and checked the alarm clock. Someone had turned it off. It must have been Blake. Did he turn it off in order not to wake Hedwig up? Well, he was a responsible father. I'd give him that. After I washed up and changed my clothes, I decided to go downstairs and get something to eat first. I didn't want to wake Hedwig up. She should sleep a bit longer. When I went down the stairs leisurely, suddenly, I saw someone. I stopped and stared at the young man sitting on the sofa with some surprise. It was Leo. Why was he here? When Leo heard footsteps coming from upstairs, he looked up. When he saw me, he was stunned as well. "Catherine?" He stood up stiffly from the sofa. He asked in surprise and anger, "Why are you at Blake's place?" I pursed my lips and continued to walk down. I said lightly, "You have to ask him." "Don't tell me you're Blake's mate." Leo's face was full of disbelief. I frowned slightly. "You are so superficial. Hasn't Blake told you yet?" Being called superficial made Leo pull a long face. Just then, his phone rang. His eyes were still fixed on me while he put the phone close to his ear. I heard Blake's voice. "Blake, why are you calling me instead of using MindLink?" Leo said while looking at me warily. "How do I know you're not already back in Sayreville?" Blake snorted. "Yes, I'm back. Because I've got something to deal with. I'm at your lakeside villa right now. Guess who I saw here? A woman, Blake. You have a unique taste." Leo raised his voice on purpose so that I could hear as well. I wanted to ignore him, yet I still couldn't help being a little angry at what he said. Blake was also stunned. "What are you doing at my place so early in the morning?" "That's not important now. Just tell me this. What is your relationship with Catherine?" While Leo was asking, he sized me up, as if he wanted to see something good in me. "Leo, don't be rude to her. And she told me last night that you wanted to make my kids stars. You'd better drop that thought. Do you want your nephew and niece to be in the spotlight?" Blake said seriously. When Leo heard Blake's words, his eyes widened in shock. He stared at me in disbelief. "What? Blake, did you just say that the two kids were yours? Are you sure?" asked Leo in surprise. Blake was so pissed off that he smiled. Of course, I'm sure. Don't you think that they look a lot like me? And I've checked with the pack doctor already. I see. Congratulations. Leo sounded jealous. Stay for dinner tonight, and I'll introduce you to the kids. And keep this between us for now. Don't tell Grandma and Grandpa just yet. Remember. After saying this, Blake hung up. Leo's hand holding the phone dropped feebly. He glared at me, who was drinking water in the dining room. Catherine, how could you? You knew the kids were Blake's. But you still kept me in the dark yesterday. You made me a joke. You did that on purpose, didn't you? Chapter 73. Catherine's POV. I turned around and smiled when I saw Leo's flushed face. So what? If you think you are a joke, well, you deserve it. Experience must be bought, right? Be nicer to others from now on. Don't push people into the corner just because they refuse to work with you. How do you feel now shooting yourself in the foot? Don't think you can talk to me like that just because you had 2 kids with Blake. Leo, is everyone in the royal family as unreasonable and condescending as you are? I raised my eyebrows and talked back a little unhappily. Leo was stunned. I didn't bother to talk to him anymore. I wanted to go to the kitchen to grab something to eat. You have to apologize to me. You knew the truth, yet you still watched me make a fool of myself yesterday. Leo caught up with me and said so. I opened up the fridge and took a look. There were a lot of fresh ingredients inside. Darwin might have gone out on an errand right now. He was not at home. I decided to make some roasted chicken with herbs and seafood pasta for myself. I pretended to ignore the man behind me, who was accusing me angrily. The more I ignored Leo, the angrier he became. However, he did not dare to do anything to me. He could only glare at me while his face turned red with anger. I found him so unreasonable. I didn't think I did anything wrong. I had a reason not to tell the truth yesterday. Mommy, who is he? I have never seen him before. Just as Leo could not calm down whatsoever, he heard a childish voice sounding from behind. It was Hedwig. She woke up. She must have realized that I was not by her side and came downstairs. Leo turned around and saw Hedwig behind him. Hedwig's hair was messy, and her face was delicate and cute. She was wearing a creamy white pajama with patterns of cows on it. She looked so lovely. Leo stared at Hedwig, and she stared back at him. I walked over immediately. Hedwig, why did you get downstairs with so little on? You are still sick, do you know that? Mommy, my fever is gone. I'm not sick anymore, so I don't want to take medicine anymore. When Hedwig heard that she was sick, the first thing she thought of was that she might have to take medicine. Her face was full of frustration. I comforted her gently. Fine, just put on more clothes. You won't have to take medicine unless you feel sick, okay? Mommy, you haven't told me who he is yet. He is so handsome. Hedwig sized Leo up. Just as I was about to introduce him, Leo had already squatted down and looked at Hedwig. His face was gloomy back then, but now he smiled. Hey there, what is your name? I'm your uncle, for real. For real. Mommy, could there be a fake uncle? Hedwig did not understand. I immediately replied, he is your daddy's younger brother, your uncle. You can call him Leo from now on. What's the name of my niece? Asked Leo, turning to me. My name is Hedwig. Leo, are you here to see me? Did you bring me a gift? Hedwig thought that Leo was here because she was sick. Leo was slightly stunned and looked at me, asking for help. I knew exactly why he came, and he definitely didn't bring any gifts. Hedwig, Leo came in a hurry today and didn't have time to prepare a gift for you. I'll ask him to make it up to you next time, okay? I comforted Hedwig. Hedwig compromised easily. She immediately nodded and said, Well, Leo, be sure to bring me a gift the next time you come to visit me. I will also send you a gift in return. Okay. Promise. I will bring you lots of gifts the next time I come here. Leo answered with a smile. And a gift for Noah, too. He's my brother. Hedwig did not forget about Noah. Leo nodded. I stood up with Hedwig in my arms. Mommy will take you upstairs to change. Leo, don't leave yet. I'll take you to see my friend Chestnut later. Hedwig was carried upstairs by me, and she still wanted Leo to stay. Who is Chestnut? Leo was in a daze. Chestnut is Chestnut. It's very cute. Wait here. I'll take you to it in a while, Hedwig said happily. A few minutes later, Hedwig changed into a princess dress. With 2 ponytails, she hopped downstairs happily. I went downstairs and said to Hedwig, Hedwig, do you want some seafood pasta? Yes. Mommy, you can go ahead and eat first. I'll take Leo to see Chestnut. As soon as Hedwig finished speaking, she ran to Leo, grabbed one of his fingers, and tried to pull him away. Leo, come with me. Leo glanced at me, asking me with his eyes who Chestnut was. I smiled without saying anything, letting him find out on his own. Hedwig was a good-time girl. They went back after about half an hour. As soon as they walked into the parlor, Leo collapsed on the sofa. Hedwig was also worn out. I took a towel and wiped her sweat. Then I was about to feed her some pasta. All of a sudden, I saw Leo lying on the sofa. I kindly asked him, Hey, do you want some pasta? Is there any for me? Leo sat up immediately. Yes, if you want some, just come here. Leo slowly walked over. She never gets tired. I am exhausted from running, and she hasn't had enough. I am starving. I knew Hedwig had no limits when playing. I would even be too tired to walk sometimes after spending a day playing with Hedwig, let alone Leo. Leo had some seafood pasta, and he seemed to have recovered a little. He said to me, What about your job? Do you need me to put in some words for you? His kindness surprised me. Somehow I saw him differently. Really? Are you willing to do that? Yes. You lost your job because of me anyway, he said. I nodded. That would be great. Blake intended to do it for me. I'll call him and tell him that he doesn't need to do that anymore. In this way, they won't find out about me and Blake. Leo seems to be surprised that I wanted to keep my relationship with Blake a secret. Why would you keep this from them? Don't you want everyone to know about your relationship with King Blake? He is the Lichen King. Lee stood up. Well then, I still have something to do, so I'll leave now. I'll help you get your job back as soon as I can. Thanks then. I smiled at him. No need to thank me. I caused it, so I'm supposed to fix it. After saying that, Leo waved at Hedwig. Chapter 74. Catherine's POV. It was 10 o'clock in the evening. I helped Hedwig and Noah take a bath and read bedtime stories to Hedwig. Daddy hasn't come back yet. It's so late. Hedwig had taken a nap, and though she was feeling sleepy now, she did not want to fall asleep when she realized that Blake was not back yet. I stroked her head and comforted her gently. Hedwig, Daddy might be caught up with something important, so he will be back late. Go to sleep. You can play with your daddy in your dream, okay? Mommy, is Daddy in danger? Hedwig was so worried. She blinked. I chuckled. Your daddy is the Lichen King. Nothing will happen to him. Don't worry, just go to sleep. I can't. I miss him. Hedwig pouted and said pitifully, Then Mommy will sing you to sleep, okay? I thought of a way. Well, Mommy, you can give it a try. I don't know if I can sleep. Hedwig gave in and decided to hear me sing. I began to hum a few lullabies. As I hummed, Hedwig yawned. She looked like she would fall asleep at any moment. I tried my best to lower my voice. I gently stroked Hedwig's head while humming. Seeing that Hedwig was finally asleep, I let out a sigh of relief and tucked her in before pushing the door open and leaving. I pushed open the door of the next room. Noah was lying under the quilt and trying out his new toy. Because there were some little lights on his new toy, he simply buried himself in the quilt to play with it. Just as he was playing, suddenly, I patted his butt, which startled him. He quickly poked his head out from under the quilt. It's so late. Why are you still playing with your toy instead of sleeping? I was pissed off. He had spent the whole day playing around. It was now bedtime, and he still hadn't had enough. Mommy, I still have some things that I haven't figured out. I'm studying. Study it tomorrow. Hurry up and go to sleep. Otherwise, someone will get spanked, I threatened. Fine, I'll go to sleep. Mommy, you interrupted my new research. You're so bad. Noah was unhappy, but he still put his toy away and lay down on the bed to sleep. Bad mommy is telling you to sleep. I tried to be serious, but I was amused by Noah's expression. Mommy, isn't Daddy going to sleep with me tonight? He asked curiously. I don't know. Your daddy might have gone back to his villa on the hill. Well, I don't know why, but I can't sleep without Daddy around, Noah said seriously. This time I couldn't help but chuckle. You're just a kid. How can you not be able to sleep? I bet you'll sleep like a piggy in a moment, and I can't wake you up whatsoever. That's not true. Forget it. Maybe I will fall asleep. I'm so sleepy. After a few words of rebuttal, Noah felt that his eyelids were so heavy. After a short while, he fell asleep, and he even snored. I was so relieved to get both of them to sleep. After sitting on the balcony drawing for an hour, I decided to go downstairs and get a glass of water. It was almost midnight. I was very tired after attending to the kids for a day. There were only a few dim lights on in the parlor. When I walked down, I suddenly saw a person lying on the sofa. I was startled. I quickly walked over and saw that the person lying on the sofa was actually Blake. When did he come back? And why was he sleeping on the sofa? Why didn't he go upstairs to sleep? I frowned and curiously walked to the sofa. Then I smelled alcohol. I was slightly surprised. Was Blake drunk? I stretched out my leg and kicked his calf. I shouted, "Hey, wake up. Don't sleep on the sofa. It's getting cold now. You'll get sick." He only let out a few uncomfortable grunts. Since he wasn't responsive, I simply squatted in front of him. I reached out and patted his face. "Blake, wake up. If you want to sleep, go to your room. Don't sleep here." More alcohol. Blake seemed to hear someone talking. He spoke in a hoarse voice. I glared at him in disgust. "You're so drunk, and you still want to drink? Get me some alcohol." Suddenly, he grabbed my hand before I could retract it. He pulled my hand hard, and I was caught off guard. I leaned on his shoulder, and I froze. "What the hell, Blake? Let go of me." I was being kind enough to wake him up, yet he grabbed my hand. "Women are so cruel," the drunk and confused man mocked. My concerns about him vanished in an instant. I tried hard to pull my hand back, but he held it tightly. "Let go, you jerk! Let go of me!" I was so angry that I opened my mouth and bit the back of his hand. Blake was in pain and loosened his grip at once. I immediately took a few steps back and glared at him with resentment. "Since it was some woman outside who hurt you, I can't answer your question. You can sleep on the sofa for as long as you like. Who cares?" I said angrily and turned to go upstairs. I even forgot why I went downstairs. After I returned to my room, I lay down next to Hedwig. Looking at her sleeping face, I inexplicably felt a little upset. Such a feeling confused me. I made up my mind. If Blake did find his mate, I would leave here together with the kids. I wouldn't let them be bullied by their stepmother. Maybe I was dark inside. Not all stepmothers would treat their husbands' kids badly, but I was afraid. I was Hedwig and Noah's mother. I couldn't even bear to see others rebuke them. Forget it. I should stop wondering. Blake had been gentler to me these days, which was probably the reason why I was hankering. I shouldn't have been like this, but I knew. Eventually, nothing could get in my head. Chapter 75, Catherine's POV. I woke up early the next morning, and I checked Hedwig's temperature again. It was normal. It seemed that Hedwig was recovering well after taking the medicine. I ran next door to wake Noah up, and then I helped Noah and Hedwig wash up in the bathroom. Finally, I took them downstairs for breakfast. When I was walking downstairs, I deliberately took a glance at the sofa. Blake was no longer there. I didn't know where he had gone. "Dowen, did you see my daddy? Did he stay out last night?" As soon as Hedwig entered the dining room, she asked Dowen. Dowan immediately smiled and replied, "Good morning, Princess. King Blake came back and stayed here last night, but he went to the Chavez group early in the morning." "Oh? Daddy didn't stay out yesterday? But where did he sleep? Why didn't he come to my room to sleep? Bad Daddy." Noah was unhappy. I quickly urged Noah and Hedwig to have breakfast. "Enough with the questions. Finish your meal and go to school." Dowan immediately said to me, "King Blake asked me to send the children to school. Ms. Wyatt, just go to work. I will take care of them." I nodded at him gratefully. "That would be great, Dowan." I drove to work. As soon as I stepped into the office, I saw Melinda walking toward me with a smile. "Catherine, come in with me." I didn't expect that Melinda would come so early. I followed her into the office. "Catherine, did you find your mate already? Or are you dating some big shot? Guy came over yesterday and said you should come back to work. He also asked me to take care of you." Melinda smiled at me. I felt a bit embarrassed. I smiled bitterly and said, "No, Melinda, I didn't find my mate. But it is true that someone is helping me silently." I took out my phone, clicked on the gallery, and showed Melinda the photo of Noah and Hedwig. "Melinda, I have 2 kids. They are almost 4 years old." Melinda was shocked when she heard my words. Since when do you have kids? Catherine, didn't you say you hadn't found your mate?" I shook my head and said bitterly, "No, I haven't found my mate yet. And the father of my kids is not my mate either." After hearing what I said, Melinda grabbed my arm and asked, "What exactly is going on? Did anyone do anything bad to you? Tell me, which pack does he belong to? All people from the Chavez group are protected by the royal." It had been a long time since anyone cared about me. I was touched, and I even felt the urge to cry. I quickly went over and hugged Melinda. "I'm sorry, Melinda. I hid this from you for a reason. I wasn't born a rogue. I was banished from the pack by my father. My mother was the Luna of the pack. After she died, my father found a new Luna who had been picking on me. I'm afraid that if they find out about my kids, they will be in danger." Melinda felt better after hearing my explanation. Yet she felt sorry for me still. She said, "Catherine, it must have been very hard for you. You had to raise 2 kids on your own. Do you know who the father is?" I bit my lower lip and nodded. "I didn't before, but I do now." I thought of Blake's reaction when he found out about the children. The fear that my kids would be snatched away had gone. Instead, I seemed to accept the reality. People did change easily. At that time, I thought that Blake could only take the kids away over my dead body. Yet now I wasn't dead, and I even made my peace with such a fact. Melinda stared at me nervously and said, "I just thought your parents and Dowan knew each other. I didn't realize you had such a rough ride. What is their father like? Is he a good man? Did he do anything to you and the kids?" "Their father is Blake." My lips were a little dry, and I mustered up my courage, but I still said with hesitation, "What?" Melinda was stunned. She froze. After a few seconds, she asked tentatively, "Did you just say that the father of your kids is Blake? King Blake?" "Melinda, I know it's hard to believe. I was shocked at first too, but later the doctor confirmed that Blake was indeed my kid's father." Melinda finally came back to her senses. She asked again, "And where are the kids now?" "They are staying in King Blake's place. King Blake would not let the descendants of the royal family live in a place without protection. Melinda, back then, Blake forcefully brought the kids to his villa, and I was strongly against it. Later, I compromised, since he treated them well. They grew up without a father. I wanted to make it up to them. And Blake loves them very much. He's a good father indeed. Blake was a jerk, but I had to admit that when he was with Noah and Hedwig, he was perfect." Melinda sighed. "Well then, Catherine, I'm glad to hear that. Black is not just some ordinary man. He owns such a big company, and he is our Lycan king. He is our real king. Catherine, how are things going to work out between you two?" I was stunned for a moment. Then I said self-mockingly, "Melinda, nothing is ever going to happen between us. We are not a couple. We just have 2 children, and that's all. I know he is the Lycan King. Even if I am not a rogue, I would just be a member of a small pack. He and I are from two different worlds." Melinda also smiled bitterly and said, "Makes sense. How can King Blake's mate be some ordinary werewolf like us?" I got carried away the other day with Blake's tender look and how much he adored the kids. I didn't hate him that much, but what he said after he got drunk last night woke me up thoroughly. I felt flustered just thinking about it. Blake was way too charming. He was the Mr. Perfect for every woman. Women with low self-control would fall for everything he said and did. He came with a huge halo surrounding him. I seriously doubted my ability to remain untouched after I lived with such a charming man day and night in the future. "Catherine, did you hear me? Hello?" "Excuse me. Melinda, did you say something?" I was pulled back. Then I thought for a few seconds before asking, "Melinda, tell me, what would a werewolf like Blake do if he fell for a woman?" Melinda frowned and thought carefully. Then she answered, "For a werewolf like Blake, time, instead of money, is most precious. If he makes time for you, he's definitely attracted to you." Time? I didn't follow. Everyone had time. Moreover, everyone had 24 hours a day at their disposal. How could time be the benchmark for Blake's feelings? Try to think of it this way. Time is money for him, which is worth more than anyone else's. If he is willing to spend time with you, it means that in his heart, you are more important than money and work. Then it's a sign that he loves you, Melinda said. I thought carefully and found that her words made sense. "I'm going out to work now. Remember, it's just between you and me." I shouldn't keep on chatting with Melinda. I was at work after all. Melinda looked at me and nodded with a smile. Chapter 76. Gina's POV. I had already agreed to the termination of my contract. 2 days had passed, and things for me were not getting any better. All kinds of bad news keep coming. I finally couldn't bear to stay at home anymore. Today, I came to my studio with a sullen face. After I became a star, I asked Harley to help me set up a studio. Of course, not all the employees were werewolves. I walked into the studio and saw all my assistants sitting there sighing. "What's wrong?" My heart sank. I had a bad feeling. Harley walked out of his office with a bunch of contracts in his hand. "Gina, all your trips have been called off, and the talk show you were supposed to be on today had a last-minute change." "What? Then who will be the guest?" I felt a little unsteady on my feet, and I couldn't help but hold the wall beside me. Coldness penetrated my heart. I tried to look at him with widened eyes. "Tell me." "Lorelei Pope," Harley said. I knew her. She belonged to Sunset Pack. She set foot in showbiz because she saw the benefits I brought to my pack after I became a star. But Blake didn't treat Sunset Pack differently. Lorelei wasn't very famous. She buttered me up at the mating gathering held in the Shadow Forest. "Lorelei Pope? She is just a nobody. And she replaces me? Isn't this simply a slap in my face? Are they trying to tell everyone that I am not even a B-list star? This is too much. Fuck! I want to kill them all. Those bastards." I swept everything on the desk next to me on the floor angrily, looking like I was about to eat someone alive. "Why? Why did you do this to me? You made me 1 in a million and then destroyed me. Why?" I was miserable. I couldn't stand it. I crouched by the wall, burying my head in my hands. I was about to lose it. I was once a female star whose popularity was in full swing. When I was enjoying all the praises and applause, suddenly, everything was gone. It was unbearable. I even wish I were dead. "Why don't you tell me all the bad news? It won't make a difference anyway." I lowered my head, my voice numb. Harley frowned and said with concern, "Gina, are you all right? Do you want to go in and get some rest? We'll talk later." "No need. If I close my eyes now, I can see how miserable I will be. Harley, can you hug me? Please?" I looked up at his face in front of me. I suddenly felt that Harley was nice enough. I needed his hug. It occurred to me that 5 years ago I had a slight crush on Harley. When I found out that Catherine had a one-night stand with another man, I even thought about telling Harley about that. I wanted to know how much Harley would loathe Catherine after knowing that. But Catherine was banished from the pack after that night, and the person who slept with her was King Blake. Later, Elena secretly told me to replace Catherine with myself. I did, and King Blake made me a star. Then I forgot to tell Harley about Catherine's one-night stand and didn't get to know his thought. Later on, I became more and more famous. Besides, after I came across King Blake, I realized that no werewolf could surpass him. Being King Blake's lover would be good enough for me. But I could only regard him as my secret crush. Even so, my feelings for Harley had all gone. I was pushed into a corner now, and it was Harley who was by my side and cared about me. It was only now that I found out that I used to have feelings for him. But later, I changed. My status blinded me. I was all over myself, and I forgot about it all. Harley saw tears rolling down my cheeks. He looked like he was sad. I hugged him tightly the moment he crouched down. There was a bit of embarrassment on his face, and I found that he gestured to the stunned assistants next to us to ask them out. The assistants were smart enough to go out quickly, but as soon as they went out, one of them began to mock coldly outside the door. I heard someone say, "Well, well, she did this to herself. Karma is a bitch indeed." You're right. She used to boss us around like we were dogs. No one will serve her anymore. Anyway, I'll quit. This is a dead end. Count me in. Who the hell can stand her bad temper? She has reached an impasse now, and she still clings to Harley. Damn bitch. Poor Harley. I think Harley was just comforting her symbolically. She used to throw tantrums at him all the time. I hope that Harley will turn his back on her and leave her high and dry. I'm interested in seeing what kind of desperate moves she can make. Do you know that she used to point to my nose and call me useless? I trembled with anger at what they said, but I no longer had the strength to go out and quarrel with them. I could only hold Harley tightly by his neck and cry out in the room, "Harley, what should I do? I'm at my wit's end now. Can you help me?" Gina, I'm afraid you have to face it. This is no longer something that can be solved. I'm sure there's still a way. Didn't you say last time that someone would support me if that was what I wanted? But I still don't want to do that. No, I cried sadly. Harley felt the same, so he continued to persuade me. Gina, why don't you take the opportunity to quit showbiz? It would still be better than being looked down upon. I can't talk myself into it. I like the sense of accomplishment that showbiz brings me. Harley, I don't want to quit just like this. I was telling the truth, speaking from my heart. I still wanted to make a comeback in showbiz. Harley sighed helplessly. I knew these assistants would leave me sooner or later, but Harley wouldn't. He was the Gamma of our pack. If I couldn't become the Lycan Luna, being the Gamma's mate would also be acceptable for me. Gina, I'll get you a glass of water. Harley suddenly pulled my hands away and stood up. No! I don't want to drink anything now. Harley, do you know? I used to have a crush on you. You can tell, right? I suddenly said something that made him tense. Chapter 77. Harley's POV. You had a crush on me? When? I have no idea. I was telling the truth. Catherine had been the center of my attention, so I was a little dazed at Gina's words. Status didn't matter to me. I didn't like Catherine because she was once the daughter of Alpha. I'm sure you know it, Harley. You're just too shy to admit it, right? But I'm serious. I had a crush on you 5 years ago. Back then you were close to Catherine, so I never dared to tell you, Gina said with a serious face. Gina, why are you saying all this? It's water under the bridge now. Let it go. I calmed down in a short while. I stayed by Gina's side for the last 5 years through all the ups and downs. However, I only thought of her as my friend and colleague. That was all. No, I don't want to let it go. Harley, you know that there are some sponsors in Hollywood with more resources. I've decided to find myself a rich sponsor. But before that, I hope that you will be my first man. Those men don't deserve my first time. As Gina spoke, her lips were already close to my ear. I jumped in fright and pushed her away with a look of disbelief. Gina, what are you doing? Do you have any idea what you just said? Gina immediately stood up from the ground and walked towards me step by step, being flirtatious deliberately. She said, "Of course. Harley, I suddenly realize that you are the best to me when I am the most down and out. So this isn't a trade. Besides, don't you ever want me?" "I don't think so. I am the woman in all men's dreams, and I am the daughter of Alpha." "Don't you want to be the future Alpha? You thought about it as well, didn't you?" Gina shocked me today. Her words were bold and passionate. I couldn't believe these words came from Gina's mouth. "No, Gina, you got me wrong. I have never thought that way. Indeed, you are very beautiful, and countless men are crazy for you, but all I have for you is just admiration and respect. So please stop saying these. We are just companions from the same pack. I have always thought of you as my friend," I explained in a hurry and stated clearly. Hearing this, Gina stopped and stared at me with a sad and ashamed expression. "What did you say? Harley, how could you never have any feelings for me? We have lived and worked together for so many years. Do you really have no feelings for me at all?" "Gina, you took it the wrong way. I watched you thrive step by step for the past 5 years. In some ways, you are really outstanding, but I'm sorry, I really don't have that kind of crush on you, and you are not my mate." I didn't want to hurt her pride, but I had to make it clear so she wouldn't get the wrong idea again. Gina suddenly picked up a file next to her and threw it at me. "Even you are leaving me? You bastard! You know better than anyone how much I have invested in you these 5 years. I never went to an event without you. Otherwise, who would know that there was a handsome man by my side? You are kind of famous now, and you suddenly turn your back on me? How can you be so heartless? Fine, go. Go to your Catherine. See if she still likes you. She has already been sleeping with Blake. She is nastier than me." I was shocked by her words, and then I was furious. "Gina, you can curse me, but I won't allow you to speak ill of Catherine. She's nowhere near the woman in your mouth. She does nothing of that sort." "Is that so? Would you still defend her if you knew she was the one who got me into this today? She slept with King Blake 5 years ago, and she was not King Blake's mate. I was kind enough not to tell you. Now that she's got another chance, do you think she's going to let it slide? King Blake said that he was interested in her last time. Do you think he will let her go? Can she resist the Lycan King's charm? He is rich, and he also has the Lycan aura that can make every werewolf surrender." Gina was truly furious, so every word she said was extremely unpleasant and harsh. Her words hit me hard. I even felt like I was about to lose my balance. I panted and glared at Gina. "That's bullshit. I don't buy it at all. Stop talking nonsense." "Fine. Go ahead and find her. See if she'll talk to you at all," Gina mocked. My heart ached so much. I turned around and left, ignoring Gina. If you leave, don't ever come back. I never want to see you again." Gina didn't expect that I would leave her for Catherine in the end. She screamed, but she still failed to keep me. "Just go. All of you, just go. I don't need you. I can still get back on my feet. Wait and see. I will make you regret leaving me." Gina had gone crazy. She frantically swept everything in the room to the ground, her eyes red, tears streaming down her face. She shouted at the other employees. They were utterly frightened, and they ran out of the studio. I shook my head and left the studio as well. With her like this, I couldn't stick by her side. After I left the studio, I sat in the car and was devastated. Then, I plucked up my courage and dialed Catherine's number. "Harley!" A familiar, pleasant female voice sounded from the other end. "Kathy, did you find a job? Where do you work? Would you like to have lunch together?" I was also in a mess. I didn't know what was waiting for me after all these years. But now, I just wanted to hear her voice. It wouldn't matter, even if she turned me down. "I have found a job. Let's have lunch together. My treat." Catherine smiled. "Okay. Send me the address. I'll be there right now." I felt better after hearing her words. Chapter 78. Harley's POV. At noon, Catherine found a table in a restaurant near the company and sent me the address. 10 minutes later, I showed up in front of her. The clothes I liked to wear didn't change over the years. I still liked casual clothes, just like when Catherine and I used to live in the same pack. Catherine sized me up. Then she smiled and said, "Harley, what happened? Why did you suddenly want to eat with me?" I looked at her, feeling uneasy. I swallowed the questions I wanted to ask her. "Nothing. I just felt that I messed up the last meal and wanted to treat you to another," I said with a smile, trying my best to be calm. "Why did you ask Gina to come over last time?" Catherine was still a bit angry at the mention of last time. I was stunned for a second and replied casually, "Actually, it was Gina who offered to eat together that day. She said that the three of us hadn't seen each other in ages, so she wanted us to have a meal together. I didn't expect that you two would end up having a fight. If I had known that it would be like that, I definitely wouldn't have let her tag along." Catherine sneered, "I knew it! Why would she want to see me? She just wanted to show off." "She is just the proud kind. Don't take it seriously. In fact, she has been very miserable recently." I comforted Catherine in a low voice. "How come? She spares no effort in putting on airs. She just showed up at my office the other day in a $1 million sports car." Catherine curled her lips. "All her work and activities have been called off, and all her deals with the Chavez group have been canceled. Also, there's a good chance that she will be banned. You may not see her on screen ever again," I said, looking straight at Catherine, wanting to see her reaction. "What happened to her?" Catherine seemed to think of something, but she continued to look at me with inquiring eyes. "She offended King Blake. Did you hear about this?" When I saw her expression change slightly, my heart ached. Sure enough, Gina was telling the truth when she said that Catherine was involved with King Blake. I believed Gina's words now. Catherine's face became even more sullen. She pretended to be indifferent and said, "Is that so? Well, she deserves it. Kathy, Gina said that you had known King Blake since 5 years ago, you and him." Since it had come to this, I felt that I had to ask. Otherwise, I would be suffocated. Catherine paused. She looked up at me, pursed her lips, and said calmly, "Harley, I don't want to talk about the unpleasant past anymore. Stop asking, okay?" When I heard her say that it was unpleasant, I felt a little better, but I was still upset. "Fine. If you don't want to talk about it, then I will stop asking. But can you tell me one thing? Are you the one who tells King Blake to blacklist Gina?" I still wanted to find out. "Would you think I was a bad person if I said yes? But I have every reason to hurt her, because she once hurt me exactly the same." Catherine laughed self-mockingly. "No. I know you won't hurt her for no reason. Gina is too proud. She offends people easily. Besides, I know about your past in the pack. Luna was targeting you, making it hard for you at that time. But I didn't expect you and Gina would come to this." I sighed. As a friend of both of them, I was indeed somewhat embarrassed, and it was a shame that their sisterhood was shattered. "Harley, can we stop talking about her? Let's eat." Catherine did not want to mention Gina's name anymore. Hoping for a more pleasant atmosphere, I nodded. "Okay, let's eat." Then we just talked about our previous lives in the werewolf school and our recent work. "Kathy, do you want me to be a star?" I asked. Catherine blinked in surprise. She looked at me and couldn't help but smile. "I've always thought that you have what it takes to be a star, and you have been with Gina for the past few years. It seems that many people online have noticed you." I smiled bitterly. My mother rejected her second chance ever since my father passed away. She had become very insecure, so I didn't set foot in showbiz. Later, Gina was aware of my dilemma and offered me to be her bodyguard and assistant. I agreed. "Then what makes you change now?" Catherine asked in surprise. "I just feel that if a person turns his dream away and dares not face it, he won't have the courage to do anything else." I figured it out all of a sudden. I was no match for King Blake. If I wanted to provide Catherine a better life, I would have to make more money. Over the years that I had been with Gina, I had found that her achievements had helped the pack grow as lot. In modern society, from a werewolf's point of view, I was no match for the Lycan King whatsoever. But if I became a star and had more money, at least it was something. In such a way, when Catherine made the choice, the gap between me and King Blake would not be so big. When Catherine heard me say this, she smiled and encouraged me. Harley, if that's what you want, I think it is a good thing. You are right. One would be nothing if he didn't have a dream. You are still so young. Do what you want to do. I support you wholeheartedly. Really? Kathy, you are not against it? I was very happy to hear her words, and I became even more courageous. Of course. It's your dream. But Harley, you will be facing some tough times as well, won't you? Catherine said worriedly. I smiled. Kathy, no need to worry about that. In fact, I have come to meet a lot of people in showbiz in the past few years. Catherine was stunned, and then she smiled. Harley, it sounds like everything is perfect. You should go ahead and realize your dream. Okay. I will do my best. I looked up and saw that Catherine was smiling. I was instantly determined. When I decided to do something well, I would put in a lot of effort and endurance for it. Kathy, wait for me. When I succeeded, I would tell you how much I loved you. Chapter 79. Catherine's POV. I told Melinda the truth today, and I had lunch with Harley, knowing that he was going to pursue his dream. Therefore, I felt better. I wasn't as agitated as last night. With this in mind, I went back to work. In the afternoon, my phone rang. I glanced at the screen. It was my father, Troy, the alpha of Black Moon Pack. I hesitated for a few seconds and still picked up the phone. Catherine, do you have a minute? I have something to tell you. He had always been so indifferent to me since I was a kid. Alpha Wyatt, what is it? Let's talk about it now. I'm still working. I was telling the truth. I really couldn't go out to see him now. Ever since I was banished from Black Moon Pack, I addressed him differently. I want you to come with me to the hospital. The hospital? Are you sick? Can't the doctor in the pack do anything? I was shocked when I heard the word hospital. I'm not sick, but I want you to come with me to the hospital, he said. I couldn't get him to tell me the reason, but I still decided to go with him. I asked Melinda for a leave of absence and left the company early. When I reached his place, I saw him. Time left marks on his face. Though he was well maintained, he was still a bit older. When he saw me, he was also a little surprised. He directly walked over, opened the car door, and sat in. Alpha Wyatt, do you want me to accompany you to the hospital for a checkup? He indeed didn't look well. He turned to look at me and sighed. Catherine, when will the thing between you and Gina come to an end? Do you know Gina doesn't even dare to step out of the house because of you? I knew that he was going to bring this up to me, but I didn't expect that he would take Gina's side eventually. I laughed self-mockingly. Alpha Wyatt, we are both your daughters. You never care about me. You give her all your love. Even if you do want to play favorites, at least you can try to be less obvious. It hurts, do you know? He looked at me in surprise, as if he did not expect me to say this. Catherine, if you want to hate someone, let that one be me. Gina has nothing to do with this. Please cut her some slack, he said after a pause. I suddenly snapped. Why was I banished? Wasn't Gina involved? Catherine, drive. Let's go to the hospital now. When we get there, you'll know why I did that. I'm indeed an irresponsible father, and I'm sorry, he said. I took a long breath and no longer said anything. I just drove to the nearest hospital. When we walked into the hospital, Troy suddenly said to the doctor, May I know where can we have a DNA test? When I heard his words, my whole body shook. Then I looked up at him in disbelief. I asked in a trembling voice, Dad, what's that for? Didn't you come here for a checkup? I even forgot to address him as Alpha Wyatt. Catherine, I have to tell you the truth. You are not my daughter. That is why I have been unable to care about you as my daughter for so many years. But I have always treated you generously when it comes to money. You know that. So, I hope that you can give Gina a break on account of that. No? That's not true. It's not funny. Please, I'm begging you. Let's go. We won't have the DNA test. You must be lying to me. The news came out of the blue. I couldn't accept it. I held back my tears, trembled, and grabbed his arm, wanting to pull him away. Catherine, listen to me. It's true. I'm not your biological father. Your mother and I bought you from someone else. We don't know who your parents are. Before your mother died, I promised her that I would raise you no matter what. I did what I promised her. You are a grown-up now. Dad told me the truth mercilessly. My body was stiff and cold, and I froze. I wasn't his daughter? How could it be? How did it come to this? All my life, I had been bitter about him favoring Gina and Elena. I envied Gina for having his care and love, but his words at that time were still less shocking. Catherine, I know it's a lot for you to take at once. If you don't believe me, we'll do a DNA test now, he said while coming up to me. I opened my eyes wide and stared at the strange middle-aged man in front of me. My heart ached utterly. Before, I blamed my father for not treating me well, but now, I was actually a person without a father. No need to do that. I believe you. I closed my eyes and tears poured down my cheeks. Thank you for raising me. You didn't make me grow up as a rogue. Either way, in my heart, you are my father. Catherine, if you still think of me as your father, please get Gina a break. Don't make her desperate. I apologize to you for what happened 5 years ago on behalf of her. Today, I'm begging you here, let go of Gina for the sake of all these years. Troy looked at me pleadingly. I felt that he was stabbing my heart. My sadness had already made me somewhat numb. When I heard his last sentence, I raised my head and looked at him with tears all over my face. Catherine, Gina is my biological daughter. I can't stand by and watch her have no way out. Dad put all his hopes on me. He was anxious seeing that I didn't speak and only shed tears. Fine, I promise. I will let go of her this time. Consider it as returning the favor of your upbringing. After I finished speaking, I turned and ran out. I ran out of the hospital in one breath. Outside, the sunset was beautiful, and the light of the setting sun covered the ground. But I was filled with coldness. I walked to the car step by step in a daze, my entire body trembling. My hands clutched my purse tightly. How could I accept such a cruel fact? I knew why he did this. He wanted me to cut Gina some slack to repay his upbringing. I was suffocating. I burst into tears again. Chapter 80. Catherine's POV. I sat in the car. I stooped over the steering wheel and cried hard, venting all my grievances. If that was really what Alpha Wyatt wanted, I could forgive Gina for using my name to enjoy 5 years of wealth and glory. But from now on, I was no longer related to Black Moon Pack, because my relationship with them had become nothing but a trade. After crying for a long time, I found it was getting dark outside the window. I checked the time. It was almost 7 o'clock. I wiped my tears off and opened the car window. The cold wind at night instantly made me freeze. However, no matter how cold I felt, I didn't want to close the window. I should let the wind make my eyes no longer red and swollen. When I was about to reach Blake's villa, my phone rang. It was Blake. I reached for my phone and pressed the speaker button. He asked faintly, "You're not going home for dinner again tonight?" "I'll be home soon," I replied, and hung up the phone. When I got home, the streetlights outside lit up. I was in a good mood as I drove down such a quiet road. I calmed down. Along the way, I had already accepted the fact that I was not Alpha Wyatt's daughter. In fact, it didn't matter to me anymore. Anyway, I cared for no one but my kids now. I wasn't alone. I had my kids. No matter where I was, I had a family. When I parked the car in the garage, I deliberately looked at myself in the mirror. Although my eyes were still a little red, they were no longer swollen. I didn't think Noah and Hedwig could tell anything wrong. I walked into the parlor and found that it was very quiet. I was stunned. Where were the children? They should have already been home by now. "Ms. Wyatt, you're back. King Blake and Leo are playing with the children upstairs. Do you want to go up and have a look?" Dowan hurried up to explain to me. "I see. Thanks." I was confused. Leo was here as well? I walked up to the second floor and entered the bedroom. I was still wearing a set of business attire, which was not appropriate at home. I changed into a simple set of casual clothes and walked out. At the door of the toy room, I heard the kids' happy laughter. My heart warmed slightly. I pushed the door open and walked in. I saw that Leo was racing with Noah. The winding driveway that was built took up a large area. They were holding remotes in their hands, and two cool toy sports cars were placed in front of the starting line. The atmosphere was tense. Only Blake turned around and glanced at me. His eyes were somehow meaningful. "Leo, try harder. You have already lost 3 rounds." Hedwig was beside them. Her beautiful face was flushed with excitement. She stood next to the driveway and shouted as she started to run. Leo blushed a bit. "Mommy!" Suddenly, Hedwig found me standing beside the door. She ran over excitedly and hugged my thigh. "Mommy, when did you come back? You missed all the fun. Leo is racing with Noah. It's so much fun. I cheer for Noah and he beats Leo." Hedwig looked at me happily and claimed her credit. I stroked Hedwig's head. At this time, the 2 tiny sports cars were already running at a high speed. Hedwig immediately grabbed the corner of my clothes and said, "Mommy, come here, come to the front and see." I was pulled to the front by Hedwig. Seeing how serious Noah was, I could not help but laugh. Noah had loved these fun things since he was a child. He must be very happy now that Leo was here to accompany him. "Noah, go beat him! Noah, you're the best!" Hedwig was jumping and shouting at the side. She was even more excited than Noah. Her face was red, and she was shouting so hard that she was about to sweat. I also stared at the track without blinking. "Watch out!" When I saw that Noah's car was about to flip off the track just to overtake Leo's car, I immediately shouted nervously. My voice distracted Leo. He looked up, and the sports car that was racing along the track flew off at once. "Yes! Leo, you lost again!" Hedwig cheered when she saw it. Leo collapsed on the floor in defeat. His handsome face was filled with frustration. Noah wiped the sweat off his forehead excitedly and said with a smile, "Leo, you sandbagged, didn't you? Did you do this because you thought I was just a little boy? Keep it to yourself." Leo pinched Noah's face and looked up at me. "Your fault. Why were you shouting? I was distracted." I was stunned and immediately protested in dissatisfaction. "What has it got to do with me? You are the one who can't beat Noah. Don't take it out on me." "You, Blake! Keep your woman under control." Leo was rendered speechless, so he immediately called for Blake's help. I said coldly, "Leo, watch your mouth. I am not his woman." Leo suddenly laughed. "If you are not his woman, why are you living in his house?" Noah, who was next to Leo, suddenly said coolly, "Leo, I don't think you know what's going on. My mommy didn't ask to move in. Daddy begged her to do so. Also, if my mommy says that she is not my daddy's woman, then she isn't. My mommy never lies." Noah's words stunned Leo. Leo looked at Blake and then at me. Then Leo pointed to Noah and asked, "Blake, how does Noah know all this stuff? He is just a kid. What does he know about grown-ups?" Noah immediately became angry. He put his hands on his waist and said slowly, "Leo, don't underestimate me. I know what you know. I also know what you don't know. It's just like the race we had. You are the one who insisted on competing with me. Now that you have lost, do the 3 conditions you promised me still count?" "Noah, I was just joking with you. Why did you take it seriously?" Noah immediately looked up at Blake, who was dignified and imposing. "Daddy, your brother is going back on his words. Do something." "Leo, you shouldn't make any promises that you can't deliver. Now that you have lost, you must keep your promises to Noah." "Fine. If that's what you say. Noah, what do you want? Just name them. I'll say yes to them all," Leo said decisively. After that, he glared at me hatefully. I stood aside with an indifferent expression, ignoring his resentment. I was busy enjoying the show. I had faith in Noah. I was the last person who got screwed by Noah, and what Noah said proved me right.